Moving on to the next guest, everybody. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for like getting upset. I'm sorry for getting pissed. But it's like, holy fucking shit. You come up here, you speak 200 words per minute, you interrupt me every time I open my mouth, and you just spout off nonsense. You have no clue what he's talking about. I asked him, what will the impact of a 30% tariff on China be on Americans? He has no fucking clue. He has no fucking clue what a tariff does to American consumers. He has no fucking clue what trade barriers do insofar as a reduction in efficiency in like the American consumer base, or how that could impact the American economy on the macro scale. Now we're in the long term. He has no fucking clue. He's just spouting talking points. And when I try to be good faith, when I try to just have a reasonable conversation with him, I say, "Hey, man, this is the trade agreement that he was able
I
to achieve with China." It pisses me off. What's up, Genesis? Do you support Trump?
I do not. I just wanted to debate on a quick topic.
Okay, I'm sorry for kicking you, Genesis. We are just looking for Trump supporters to debate. Let's go and get that next guest up in here, y'all. We got Maddie loading in. Let me know if you're Maga down below in that chat, y'all. As well as Ann, thank you so much for the $10 over on Vimeo. Saying, do I ski or board? I ski. Thank you for the $10, Ann. As well as Ian with the $5 over on Vimeo. Maureen with a 5 as well, guys. Thank you so much for the love. Thank you so much. I'd also like to thank Caitlin for the $5 on PayPal. Saffron with the $13. Shout out Saffron. And Haley with the 5. Thank you so much. What's going on, Maddie? Do you support Trump?
No, I do not. I just wanted to say
I'm sorry, y'all. Please stop joining the queue unless you support Trump. I do apologize for kicking you guys out pretty quickly, but we are just looking for Trump supporters to debate, y'all. As well as Home of the Brave. Feel free to hop in that queue for me. I'd love to have a conversation. What's up, Christian? Do you support Trump?
Yes, sir.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
21. So why do you support the worst president of your life, Donald Trump?
Because there's only two genders in this world.
Yeah. Two genders, therefore fascism. Two genders, therefore redistribution of wealth from the poor to the rich. Two genders, therefore we need the grapists, right? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Am I
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay, how many continents are there?
Well, first, let me answer why I'm saying there's two genders. There's two genders because there's only
Okay.
me and bitches.
Oh, so
And
refer to women as bitches, right?
You can say that.
How
I never said that.
how would you feel if I called your mom a bitch? You'd be upset,
I
right?
never said that women are bitches. I said that you're a bitch.
Oh,
I
you
said
weren't
you're
even
a bitch.
you weren't
and
even
myself.
you weren't even referring to
Everybody
women as
else
bitches.
is a bitch other than myself.
He was referring to me as a
To
bitch.
you.
Okay.
And
Well, I'm
everybody.
gonna go to explain why I asked you how you'd feel if I called your mom a bitch. The implication there is that you'd be feeling bad, right? Right? Therefore, you shouldn't call other women bitches, right? Because they can be mothers, or they might be mothers in the future, right? I don't know. Pretty simple logic. That's what I told Totogi when I was on Steiny's podcast. It's just a pretty common sense view. Let's be respectful. Let's not call women bitches. All right? It's very demeaning. Now, you think I'm a bitch. Go ahead and unmute. Click on your C, click on that profile picture, click the icon of your mic. So you said everyone else in this world but you's a bitch. You have $2. Are your daughters bitches?
No, those are my daughters.
Do you think that other women can also be somebody else's daughters?
They can be daughters as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so you shouldn't call them bitches either, because how might their dad feel?
Well, this was all intentionally a joke.
No, just joking. Okay, but so why do you support Trump? By the way, that was a hilarious joke. I think we all laughed.
That's exactly what I went for. I just wanted to see a laugh. I appreciate you, Dean. You're amazing.
Yeah,
bye.
What the fuck? Okay, I was joking, by the way. When I said that, I laughed. If you can tell. Moving on to the next guest, we got James Smith loading up in. What the fuck is going on? Hi, do you support Trump?
Dean, I love you. Dean, I love you.
Yeah, W fetus. That's right. W fetus. Holy shit, you know. Moving on to the next guest. Okay. All right. Hey, hello, Reed. Do you support Trump? And Reed went bye-bye. Reed said, see you later. Reed said goodbye. Hey, if you're one of the 10.3 thousand people watching on TikTok and you're like, hey, I like this guy, Dina, I'd like to support him. Well, you can find my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in my bio. I get 100% of all the proceeds on those platforms. They go straight to me, and I'll be able to shut you out, read off any and all donation messages. I appreciate you guys for the love. Charlie, what's going on, man? Are you MAGA?
Yes, I would like to discuss a topic with you.
Dear Lord, Charlie.
So I would like to discuss the Trump trying to get rid of the Department of Education.
Okay. We could have a little chitty chat about that.
I would like to get your opinion on that.
Well, I think that's terrible. I think we need a federal Department of Education.
Okay, well, if he gets rid of that, doesn't that mean the education is up to the state then, and not to the government? Isn't that what that means?
Well, actually, state and local districts determine curriculum as is. I mean, the primary functions of the federal Department of Education is to set some low standards, while then also delegating funding to schools in which need it, so they don't have to tax their local residents as much. All right, which, by the way, disproportionately is given to red areas and red states. And they're also up there to uphold very common, decent things that should be true in all 50 states, such as Title IX, equal treatment of women, or even upholding standards for personalized education programs for students with special needs, right? And for those reasons, I think that the federal Department of Education is great.
Okay, that's a really good point.
Right.
That's it. That's all I needed. Thank you.
I'm glad I could change your mind on that. Is there?
Yeah.
Do you want to debate about other things, or is that it?
Let's see.
Sounds like that's all you wanted to come up and talk about. You know what, Charlie? Good question. I appreciate you for coming up here and asking a good question. All right, I do. Thank you. Thank you for coming up here and asking a good question. Very awesome. Let's go to move on to the next guest, everyone. Let's go to move on to the next guest. Hello, Connor.
Hello.
How old are you, Connor?
I'm 22.
22. Do you support Trump, Connor?
Yes, I do.
Connor, why?
Because he's the greatest president and he loves America. He puts America first every day, all day.
Great, Connor.
Life.
Would you consider yourself a patriot?
Yes.
Oh, Connor. Do true patriots support core American values?
Yeah.
Overall. Is the Constitution a core American value?
In some circumstances.
Oh, but definitely not the circumstance of preventing a president from running for a third term, right? Because your bio says Maga 2028, you fucking traitor.
Yeah, well, he could just add an amendment. He could add an amendment. He could make it so that he could run for a third term.
Well, he can't. It would be Congress. And I think I've talked to you before. I think that you're a troll. Moving on. Cadence, thank you for the $5 over on Venmo. Cadence says, love what you do and everything. Thank you for everything. I appreciate you for the love, Cadence, as well as Maddie saying, sorry for joining that live even though I hate Trump. No worries. Thank you for the love. I appreciate that. What's going on, M360? Are you MAGA?
Oh, what's up?
How old are you?
20.
What year are you born in?
2005.
Goodbye. I think that you actually can be 20, born in 05.
Cookie King Mogs, you little bro. You're 5'1", buddy.
What's your evidence that I'm 5'1"?
You're 5'1".
Okay.
That guy standing next to you was like 2 feet taller than you, buddy.
Oh, in that one video? It's because he was 7'6".
So you're 5'6"?
No, I'm actually around 5'9".
Well, you just said he was 2 feet taller, and he's 7'6". So you're 5'6".
No, you said that he was around 2 feet taller.
My bad. That was it, bro.
Jobs, bro. Jobs. Moving on to the next guest, everyone. Give me a minute to get that next guest up in here. Get a job. Moving on. Go ahead and put a MAGA down below in that comment section. If you want to come up here and debate, guys, not finding many Trump supporters on the live at the moment. I got to say, quite disappointing. There's no Trump supporters. They're not here. They're not anywhere. That's right. Where are they at? Bellows, thank you for the future encounter. Shout out you. Yeah, guys, height doesn't matter. But I'm not 5'1". Worth a correction, just to be aligned with reality. We're going to go to get that next guest up in the guest box right now. Phenomenal. Emily, thank you for the $5 over on Venmo, as well as I just read your message there. That is an incredibly kind comment. Thank you so much for the love. Let's go to get that next guest up in the box, guys. Where are they at, guys? All the Trump supporters are hiding away. Hello, do you support Trump?
Yes, sir.
How old are you?
46.
46 years old. Do you have a little bit more of a quiet background, quiet place that you could go?
You know what? You'll probably end up having to cut me. I was in a quiet place, but I don't have my AirPods yet.
It's okay. It's all right. Tell us, man, why do you support this guy, this fucker, Donald Trump?
Well, the three main reasons I voted him the first time and the second time was, his judicial appointees. I was for that. Homeschool choices. I've homeschooled all of my kids. And the one this time that kind of pushed it over was I really felt like our borders needed to be more secure.
Okay. Do you think that Donald Trump has ever, at the bare minimum, even advocated for policy that would reduce undocumented entry into America in the long term?
Well, yeah, but let's start with the first thing and we can work our way down.
Okay, so let's start with a question I just asked you. You answered yes. Okay. What is a policy that he's advocated for that will reduce undocumented entry in the long term?
No, are we talking about judicial stuff, or are you starting with the last question first, or the last thing first?
So yeah, I'm talking about immigration.
Okay, so I felt like the borders needed to be more secure
Okay,
because
that's
they were
great.
just letting anyone come in.
That's great. Can you answer my question though?
I can't, but that's the reason why. I'm telling you the reason why. Your question isn't one of my reasons.
Okay. All right.
The reason why was because I felt the borders needed to be more secure because they were letting everyone in.
So
They
you
were not
think that
secure,
Biden and
period.
Harris. So do you think that Biden and Harris opened the borders?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. How do they do that?
Because they let everybody come in
Okay.
without any consequences.
But I guess what I'm asking you here, no, they actually had more deportations.
Yes, they actually did. No
Let me
consequences,
let me
bro.
speak.
Catch and
They had-
release.
They had more deportations month by month than what we saw under the first 3 months of Trump's. And then also, you said that they opened the borders. Did they open the borders through a policy in Congress, an executive order? What did they do to open them?
They turned their head and let everyone come in.
Okay, so that's not a legitimate answer. See, a president can't just ignore an issue. They either have to pass new policy, or are you saying that they just kind of like step back and let the policy that was in place play out, and the policy that was in place was open border policy?
They did not give consequences for people to come across. They catch them, they release them. I know that because I have family.
So do you think that they just kind of like step back and let the
Border
machine run
Patrol.
as is?
I don't know. I know you're trying to trap me in something, but
I'm just asking you a
they
question
stepped
about your
back and
view.
let it happen.
Okay, they step back and let it happen. Okay, so this means that what actually opened the border was all of the border policy passed by Donald Trump in his first term. Because if you're just saying that they stepped back and they rode the coattails of what was true under Trump's first term, this just means that Donald Trump passed open border policy.
If that's how you feel, then we can move to the next thing.
Well, I mean, that's
But I
not how I
disagree.
feel. Okay, well, that would be the conclusion yielded from your argument.
No, I disagree with what you're saying.
Okay, so then you'd think that they personally were the ones that took action to open the border.
The administration, yes.
Okay, so what was the action that they took to open the border?
Well, look at how many people came in.
Oh, so you're saying that there's
Over
high numbers,
13 million.
therefore, because there's high numbers of border crossings, that must meant that they passed policy that caused the high numbers of border crossings. That'd be open border policy. So because we had the highest level of unemployment since the Great Depression in April of 2020 under Donald Trump's first term, this must mean that he must have passed unemployment policy to cause the highest level of unemployment in the last 100 years, right?
We talking about border or are we talking about unemployment?
Well, I'm talking about an analogy because you're basically associating anything.
Your
that happened-
analogy is off because we're not talking about unemployment. We're talking about people coming across the border illegally. Who
Well,
stopped the building?
What's
of the
relevant
wall?
is you blaming anything that happens under their term on them.
No, not anything. I'm talking about this specific thing.
Okay, well then how
Who
do you know
stopped
that
the building
specific
of the
thing
wall?
can be blamed on them?
Who stopped the building of the wall?
Trump, when he torpedoed the bipartisan border bill that Biden and Harris advocated more, that would have built more wall than what was ever built under Donald Trump's first term.
That's absolutely wrong, and it's you're twisting things.
No, he admitted to it. He said, blame it on me if the border bill fails at a rally in Nevada. And then we also had the person that drafted the bill, which was Langford, a Trump-endorsed Republican, also detest Trump on Fox News. Same thing with Mitch McConnell and Ted Cruz.
No, he was saying that you're taking what he said out of term. He was saying you can blame it on me. He was taking responsibility like a grown person does.
Why would he take responsibility for something he didn't cause?
I'm saying you're twisting his words. That's
Okay,
what you guys
well,
do.
What were his true words?
I don't know. You're the one that twisted it.
How do you know that I'm twisting his words if you don't know what he
Because everybody
actually
was
said?
against building the wall that was on the liberal side.
Okay. So they were able to work with the Republicans in Congress and say that we're okay with building more of the wall, given that we could also hire more judges to expedite the legal means of entry into America. That's what that bipartisan border bill was, and that's the bill that Donald Trump killed. He torpedoed it. He stopped it from passing.
Okay, so the wall was stopped when the next administration came in.
Right, because
And a
he
bunch of
didn't-
people, wait,
because
let
it
me
is-
finish.
Sure.
Let me finish.
Sure.
And a bunch of people flooded in.
So
So that's what I look at.
how much of the wall was built in Trump's first term?
I don't have that in front of me.
I do, 50 miles, less than 3%. You're telling me that 50 miles of a wall covering less than 3% of the border is what was single-handedly stopping a total and complete border crisis?
No, I'm telling you that if they would have continued to build the wall and completed it, we wouldn't be in the same situation.
So I don't know if I believe that, because if he could only build 3%, why would you expect Biden and Harris to be able to build more? And then second of all, once again, they did try to build more with a bipartisan border bill. Is that a lie?
Yes.
Okay, why do you think that's a lie? Because you could
Because
read
they
the
didn't
bill.
try to build more. They were against the wall. They were against the wall.
Sir, you could read the bill and see it for yourself, man. Here, just listen to me. I don't know what to say in these scenarios when Trump supporters just straight up deny reality. Like, you could go on congress.gov, you could look up the bipartisan border bill, go Langford, okay? You could read the bill. You could read how one of the allocations under the bill to be bipartisan, they also had to, assume what the Republicans wanted, was to fund more construction of that Trump border wall than what was ever built under his first term. I mean, this is on congress.gov. You could read it for yourself. I don't know why you just deny reality. Is it possibly because it doesn't fit your narrative?
Well, this is why I put this as my third thing, because I knew we'd run into this. I wanted to start with judicial appointees.
So as soon as I call you out for letting your beliefs
No, I
build
told you-
reality, not letting reality build your beliefs, and I just described to everybody how you're clearly a member of a cult, you want to change the topic and move on.
No, I told you that from the beginning.
Yo, Owen, thank you so much for the $10 over on Venmo, man. Yo, go, guys, show some love to Owen down below in that chat. Let's get 100 ONWs. Thank you for the $10 on Venmo, Owen. So what is your
Didn't I tell you that from the beginning?
So what is my response to me calling you a member of a cult for just simply pointing out the fact that you lied about the contents of the bipartisan border bill, stating that it did not include funding for more border wall?
I told you that from the beginning, that I wanted to talk about judicial appointments first.
Okay. Well, you're running.
And so you're
and
twisting.
because you're a runner, I'm going to kick you and move on. Hello, Parker. The Trump supporters today have been absolutely insufferable, man. You have missed out on nothing. They've been so insufferable today. Isn't that right, chat? Haven't we had like significantly more insufferable guests today than we typically have? Isn't that right? Isn't that right? Stephanie, what's up? You're in that queue. Are you MAGA?
What's up? Yeah, I am.
Oh, dude, Stephanie, why?
Honestly, I voted for Biden in his first term, and I was pretty tired of a bunch of empty promises saying that they were going to help out minorities, they were going to help out immigrants, and we were just used as a pawn. We were just used as something that they could say that they're going to, help us out with and this and that, and they didn't really do anything for us.
So do you think that the material conditions of minority communities and immigrants is better under a Trump administration compared to what would have been under a Kamala Harris administration?
Truthfully, I believe there needs to be order. I believe there needs to be a pathway for immigrants to be able to...
So Stephanie, that's not the question that I asked you. Would you mind repeating the question that I asked you so I can make sure that you're clear on what I'd like you to answer?
You're asking me if minorities would be better off under Kamala. That's what you're asking me.
That is the question that I asked. I'm not sure what the pathways of immigration
and how are we supposed to be helping minorities if we're just using them as pawns? Like, how are we supposed to be...
So this isn't an answer to my question. Would the material conditions of minority communities be better if Trump was president or if Biden or Harris was president?
Truthfully, long term, I believe Biden. I believe if we are able to clear a pathway and make sure that immigrants are given the priority that they desire, that they need. So with that being said, I believe that we should be getting rid of illegal criminals, not overlooking as well as the homegrown criminals that we have here. But I do believe that there needs to be a pathway. And the only way that that can happen is if we remove the people who are abusing the system and putting America first. And if you look at other countries do this as well. If I were to go to a country right now, say in Latin America, they would kick me out if I am over there, if I overstay my visit. And
Let me
this is
test your logic.
proven.
Let me test your logic. If you think
Go
that
ahead.
America should just simply mirror what other developed countries in the world does that mean that you also think that America should have universal health care since every other developed country in the world does?
Yeah, I do, but I also believe that we can't be a socialist country because if you look at these countries that are having universal healthcare, which is great, I don't think that we have to be super conservative or super socialist and liberal.
I have a question. What is socialism? Can you define
Huh?
that?
I was gonna ask that same thing.
Could you define that silly little word? Could you tell us what socialism is?
Yeah, socialist is someone who advocates or practice for a theory of social organization, someone that believes in that.
A theory of social organization. So that's
Yeah,
mumbo
it's
jumbo
a
nonsense.
political and economic theory of social organization, meaning that,
So what is this specific theory?
well, the theory is that a transitional social state between it should overthrow capitalism.
So
That's
you're
it.
basically telling me that socialism is different than capitalism. Sure. So
It means
what
that
is
resources and
socialism?
industries are owned and controlled by a society as a whole. Like
Okay,
that
what
is.
are you reading off of,
I'm not reading off anything. What are you talking about?
Stephanie?
Did you just look it up?
Go ahead and look it up to see if you're going to find that definition.
Okay,
You're asking me, I'm
so
answering the
socialism
question.
is about the production
This whole
process.
this whole
Production
live
industry.
stream, people are answering, and you just cut them off if you think that they're actually giving an answer that is
We won't
correct.
cut you off.
All right. Well, I'm telling you what I think.
Okay.
So I don't believe that
so
we have
socialism
to.
is one moment. Socialism is like essentially democracy in the workplace, where the workers own the means of production. And what does this have to So what does socialism have to do with universal health care?
Well, that's the question that the politicians have to answer because for some reason, politicians believe that they have to confuse all these people into, and this is going to get into heavy conversation because clearly we can talk about Trump and all his transgender and LGBTQ stands, and we can talk about how he believes how certain demographic and minorities have to be this way and that way.
What the fuck, Stephanie?
What do you
why
answering your question?
Why have you and almost every other person that has requested to join this live stream today just been like so crazy? And what I mean by that,
I'm not being crazy. Dean, I
let me-
really don't think I'm being crazy. I
just
think
allow me a moment to speak.
no,
what-
because I mean, if you're gonna insult me and say that I'm being crazy, because
I
I'm
understand.
trying to justify with you.
I get it. That was an insult. But listen to me, right? The reason why I said that is because you come up here and you're like, oh, I voted for Trump because Biden and Harris weren't good for marginalized communities. I then ask a very simple question. I'm like, who would be better, Trump or Harris? And then you start going on about undocumented immigrants and how we need to get them all out of America. Not related to my answer whatsoever. And then I press back against the logic that used to justify the position. I'm like, oh, okay, so universal health care, right? And then you're like, gay people and trans people. Like,
No. I think because we're jumping between topics. That's why we're jumping between topics. My point that I am trying to get across is I don't think that minorities should be used as a pawn to get votes for a party that is in reality not doing much. If you look at the Democratic Party, it's in shambles. Now, with that being said, I do believe that there is a line in the middle, that there is somewhere we could be met in the middle between both parties. I do believe strongly that there has to be these
think that
harsh
Trump is
immigration
racist?
deportations right now. Sorry?
do you think that Trump is racist?
I believe it can come off for some that way. I don't believe he is racist because if someone is racist, I believe they show certain signs.
Would a sign of racism be calling all black people lazy, telling people not to vote for Obama because he's black? That must mean that he's not born in America, even though he's a birth certificate from Hawaii. Calling for the death penalty for the exonerated Central Park 5 10 years after their exoneration, and saying that you could racially profile immigrants and you could tell if they're good or bad based upon the way they look? Or would those be signs?
But I mean, okay, so if I'm going to stand in favor of just because if it doesn't make this is what I'm trying to say. We're
Can you
talking
answer
about
my question. Are those signs?
well,
of
we're talking
racism?
about racist. I don't believe he's a racist.
You're not
Does that
answering
mean
my,
he,
Stephanie.
he could be?
Stephanie,
He could be, but
full
honestly,
stop.
that is not
You
the
are
point
giving
that
me
I'm
a
getting to.
migraine. The question I asked is: are the four things I just named signs of a person being racist.
Okay, but what does that change as far as making this country greater? What does that change?
Stephanie, oh my God. Are they signs or are they not signs?
I'm saying yes, but what does that change?
So then we can agree
Will
that Trump
that
is
make
racist.
will that make Kamala any
now
better
that,
just because
now
Trump
that
was a
we have
racist?
agreed that Trump is racist, why would you vote for the racist because you care for marginalized communities?
Well, why would I vote for the politician that is constantly trying to say the other politician is racist and does nothing?
Wait. You just agreed that he was. You just agreed with Kamala
Okay,
Harris.
but listen, but I'm going back to my original point. The reason I voted
even as it relates to the treatment of marginalized communities in America, like we can understand that Kamala Harris and the
but
Democratic
I'm
Party.
going back.
Listen to what I'm saying.
original
Listen to what
point.
I'm saying. Even as it relates to Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party, we can agree they're not perfect. In fact, in many ways, we could agree that they're bad, harmful, and regressive. But as I compare to Trump, holy fucking shit, they're Jesus 2.0, and let me explain. Okay, a lot of marginalized communities in our country have lower socioeconomic standings compared to white Americans because of systemic forms of oppression. Okay, so obviously, when you vote for Kamala Harris and support economic policy, which gives more purchasing power to low and middle class Americans, you're going to be disproportionately benefiting those same marginalized communities. Compared to Trump, who advocates for economic reform, and which takes money away from 80% of Americans, disproportionately negatively impacting the bottom 20% of income earners by taking away $2,200 in after-tax income from them. That disproportionately disenfranchises marginalized communities. Or even as it relates to women, look at Trump, a guy that has boasted about perving on naked teenage girls, hitting on 10-year-old girls, raping E. Jean Carroll, cheating on 3 of his wives. He took all American women and girls' federal protections away from them as it relates to their access to abortion, and now 66 million American women lack that decision, lack that access because of their men that legislate in their states at that state level. What have you voted for Kamala Harris? All of a sudden, she was going to advocate for reform in our federal government to ensure that every single American woman and girl had those protections for access to abortion, and that would have covered 66 million of them, including the 60 rape victims that get pregnant as a result of their rape that try to access abortion every single 24 hours like clockwork and are denied in 10 of our states, right? Obviously, like these are many ways in which A, Kamala Harris would have been better for marginalized communities compared to Trump, and B, Kamala Harris would have been great for marginalized communities regardless of Trump by fixing systemic issues that have existed in America before her term.
Okay, do you have anything else you want to debate?
Yeah, for sure. Everything I just said is something that I want to debate with you.
My point is, if there is these mass deportations, there hasn't been immigration reform since 1990. You can look this up. And I'm not looking this up. I'm not making this up because I know this for a fact. There hasn't been an immigration reform. And if we really want to see change, we shouldn't be just hating on, oh, the president this, the president that. What about our governors? What about our senators? What about our Republicans? People are not even going out to vote in these important elections. So when there is immigration reform that needs to be done, people are not voting for what the country needs. And then we all just lead it back to, oh, the president, oh, this, oh, that. But it is not the truth. So you can't just say that these presidents are going to be the solution for everything and done. No, there's so much more. So what I'm trying to get at is that we need somebody that is going to stand at least on what they're saying and going to actually do it. And so far from what he's doing, he's actually doing it. Now, if he does these deportations long term, will that allow for an amnesty to happen? Possibly, yes, because we cannot give an amnesty to so many people, including criminals. We have to find a way to clean out the system, make it better, and then that way we can have a proposal for an amnesty and actually make it withstand. Because if it can't withstand, then what is even the point of advocating for all of these minorities if nothing is going to get done? And yes, immigrants, they do pay taxes. Yes, they do abide to the laws. But unfortunately, there are a lot that don't. And I believe there should be consequences for the ones that do not. Because in any country
there should be consequences for the immigrants that break the law, but don't worry, when you're a white rich man from New York, your consequence should be the Oval Office.
No, that is not true either. That is not true either.
So then you think that
He has
you
been
regret
tried by these courts, and honestly, you should just let the courts play out and do what they have to do.
the courts did, and you didn't accept them. Do you accept the civil court unanimously
Okay, but he is
determining
still
among
in office, and you act like there isn't checks and balances. If he really had to be kicked out of office, he would have been kicked out of office.
I'm just asking you. I'm asking you. right? If someone was held civilly
He was
liable,
impeached but not removed. There's a difference. So if
Stephanie,
he really needed to be removed, he could have been removed, but he was not.
Stephanie, if he was held civilly liable of forcefully penetrating a woman's vagina against her will, unanimously amongst a jury of 9 people, would you support him still?
Okay, well, why is he not in prison then?
I would love for an answer to the question.
No,
And
is that you
because of
guys
statute of
on your side stream,
limitations.
you literally just set everybody up to answer the question so that you can hear what you want to hear. I don't believe in
It's the first question I've asked you on the
racism.
live, so I don't know what you're
I
talking
don't
about.
believe it is okay to rape. I don't believe in it. It's okay to be a racist.
But like,
I
did
don't
you
believe that.
hear my question?
Guess what? But guess what? I also don't believe that you have to lie to people and use them as a pawn. Because
Okay.
I've waited for 4 years to see change in this country, and I did not see change in this country.
Stephanie,
Yes,
Stephanie,
Parker,
I asked you a
I'm not-
specific question, right? I would love an answer to that specific question. Do you remember
No,
what my
I do
question
not believe
was?
it's okay to rape a woman. Why would I
That's
believe
not what I
that?
asked you. That's not what I asked you.
What is it that you asked me?
If Trump was held civilly liable of forcefully penetrating a woman's vagina against her will, unanimously amongst a jury of 9 people, would you support him still?
Well, no.
No? Okay, well, that's true. Donald Trump was held civilly liable unanimously amongst a jury of 9 people for forcefully penetrating E. Jean Carroll's vagina against her will. So, given that that's the case, you agree that you don't support Donald Trump, right?
No, but I can support a Republican Party. That means that I don't have to vote for a Democratic Party if I don't believe that it's going to suit me better.
So, you don't support Donald Trump, but you do support the Republican Party?
Yes.
Okay. So, okay, well, then you wouldn't vote for Donald Trump then. Right?
Well, I did vote for Donald Trump because I am
Do you
Republican.
do you regret that?
No, I do not regret voting for the Republican
well,
Party.
then here, let me re-ask the
I
question.
do
Would you-
regret voting for the Democratic Party because they didn't do anything for us. They just used us as pawns.
You say that they haven't done anything for anyone. I have a question specifically. What is Donald Trump doing for marginalized communities that Kamala Harris wouldn't have done specifically?
Well, beginning with the economy, they would have literally put our economy in a horrible position. Okay.
Based on what policy?
Just all of the give me, hand me
I
free
think
cards.
I think I'm gonna lose my mind, Stephanie. Do you want to know why?
No, go ahead. You can tell me why.
Yeah,
Because I'm
for
trying to
sure.
have a serious debate.
Because
And I'm not saying he's perfect at all.
because the
I'm
last
not.
time I spoke, you weren't listening. I made maybe 3 points to you. When I was done speaking, you didn't listen or respond to any of them. You just started talking about something completely different. But the reason I jump in here now and I say I'm losing my mind is because you're doing a full circle. Okay, now you're back to saying that Donald Trump's economic policy would have been better for marginalized communities in America. I've already refuted that one like 5 minutes ago. See, his economic policy negatively impacts 80% of Americans. It decreases their after-tax income according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. Now, not only does it decrease the after-tax income for 80% of Americans, but it does so regressively, and more so the less money you make. Like, for instance, the bottom 20% of income earners are going to lose $2,200 in after-tax income. Meanwhile, the middle 20% are only going to lose $1,100, right? And this negatively impacts marginalized communities in a disproportionate nature, since people in marginalized communities have lower incomes on average because of that marginalization, right? So when you tell me that, oh, he's better economically speaking for marginalized communities, I look at you and I say, what the hell? That couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, the opposite is true.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, if you look at other developed countries, okay, you are just allowing for people to stay in the position that they are economically by giving free handouts. But I'm speaking. Hold on. Let me. I am understanding what you're saying. You're saying that it's not correct for me to believe that Donald Trump should be the solution for marginalized communities economically. You believe it should be the other party, but I'm explaining to you why long term I do believe it should be.
Let's hear it.
Because if we just continue to give out free food stamps, all of these things that support these certain groups of people.
So social safety nets.
Really checking, but wait, listen. What we're not really checking if these people really do need it, okay, and we're abusing the system, which we have been abusing. It has been abused. I personally know people who are on food stamps, who are on disability, who are on certain governmental programs.
I'm not even lying. I just had to mute you to tell the chat something real quick. I joke about like headaches and migraines a lot. I actually have a headache right now because of like Stephanie and the last couple guests. Like my head is in physical pain.
May
go
I
ahead.
finish now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So going back to what I'm saying is, if these people are abusing the system, do you think that benefits long term these marginalized groups or no? Do you believe that there
So-
has to be order and structure?
So you're basically saying that you think social safety nets like food stamps, EBT, etc., all things considered, have a negative impact on marginalized communities. Well, that's very false. In fact, empirics dispute what you're saying. The more social safety nets like EBT, food stamps, etc., that a country has, the more economic mobility there is for its constituents. And what I mean by economic mobility is basically how easy or hard it is for somebody to scale in the economy, earn more per year, etc., go from low class to middle class to high class, etc. So, other words, when we have more of these systems, it just makes it easier for people to live a higher quality of a life, right?
Yeah, Stephanie, also, if we didn't have qualifications to determine whether or not people needed it, well, then why can't Dean or I get access to food stamps right now?
Right.
Well, do you guys need food stamps?
No.
Right. That's kind of our point. And
But
also,
we wouldn't be able to because legally there are qualifications set up to specifically isolate people who do need it.
yeah, and then it's also, I think it's very like immoral and unfair for you to say that we should just totally remove these systems. Like, for instance, if we totally removed these systems 15 years ago, I would have grown up without a meal on many nights when staying at my mother's because a lot of the food I ate was paid for with things like food stamps.
I'm just saying the systems shouldn't be abused, and I feel like we do need order. And guys, by the way, like all of this means I have nothing against you, and I think that is the issue that we have with this generation and with these parties is that we all take this and we turn this into a whole thing of, oh, you're my enemy if you voted for this person, you're my enemy if you voted for this person, and I don't believe it should be that way. So no way am I trying to
It's based on the things that you support, right? If you support horrible things, well, then I'm going to acknowledge that you support horrible things, and I'm going to say that you shouldn't support those horrible things. But there are plenty of people who voted for Donald Trump that simply did so based upon misinformation. That's why we do these lives, to show people new information so that they are more likely to change their mind because we think that they do have the ability to change their mind given the new information that's provided to them.
No, and I completely understand that. I just, like I said, I do believe that as a whole, this country's politicians have used us and have used these marginalized minorities.
Okay, you're repeating the first thing
And-
you said. I've already listen. I'm sorry, Stephanie. Listen, I hope you have a great rest of your day. At this point, I'm going to
Thank
go
you,
on
you
to the
too.
next guest. Table for you, NYC and Roan. What's up? Are you guys MAGA?
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. Dean, your eyes are beautiful. And do you ever see a chance of you topping Parker?
Get the fuck out of here. Rowan, are you MAGA? What a weirdo, dude. Holy shit. Okay, Rowan's not even here. Let us know if you're MAGA down below in that comment section. Greg, what's up? Do you support Trump?
No, I don't. I kind of had a question. Like, what do you guys think?
WU. We are just looking for people to debate. Moving on. Brianna, thank you for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat, saying that Dina's going to need 50 Excedrin after these guests. Yeah, bro, I'm fucked. I'm cooked, dude. I'm cooked. Yo, Janelle, thank you so much for the $20 on Venmo. Janelle says, MAGA supporters cannot just admit when they are wrong. They defend a racist man who clearly only cares about himself like he's a god. That cult juice must taste amazing. So real. So real. Thank you for the love, Janelle. I appreciate that. What's going on? Do you support Trump?
Yeah, he's a Sigma. Bye-bye.
A middle schooler. If you're MAGA, hey, let us know down below in that chat. We'll pull you up here for debate. Honestly, I think that the main issue that we're facing right now is just like a lack of people who are willing to come up here and debate. And
How? You have 11,000 people. That's actually crazy.
Doesn't make sense to me, man. Asking the wrong guy, dude. Asking the wrong guy, quite frankly. Aves, thank you for the motorcycle. You're awesome. And hey, if you're watching and you'd like to support me, my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in my bio, I get 100% of the proceeds on those platforms. They go straight to me, as well as you could find them in the pinned message on my YouTube stream. And you'll get a notification at the top of my phone screen where I'll be able to give you a shout out, read off your name, and any and all attached messages live on air. Hello, Jenny. Do you support Trump?
Like, can I be an independent? Is that cool?
Do you think that Trump is doing a better job right now than than Kamala Harris would have?
Well, no. I mean, but at the same time,
Base.
We appreciate you. Can I say thank you to a few people real quick?
Yeah.
Yo, Karen, thank you for the $5. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Judy, thank you for the $10. Thank you. Ink with the $5. I really appreciate it. Josh with the $10. And Christian with $100 on PayPal. Thank you so much. Get
Oh
some
my God, I'm
tabbies
gonna
for
debate someone.
Christians. Thank you so much, Christian. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Christian.
Santi, how old are you?
On TikTok.
I'm 18. I'm 19. Sorry. I'm 19.
Okay, Santi, Tylee, how old are you?
11706.
I'm 27.
You're 27. Okay, so take it away, you guys. Tell us why you support Trump, the worst president of both of y'all's lives.
Oh, my bad. I'm not gonna lie to you, Dean. I came up here to ask you, would you love me if I was a worm? I love Kamala. She's wonderful. Love her so much. That was it.
Great. Tylee, you're the last man standing. Real quick before you take it away, gotta thank Kane, CAIN, for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat saying Free Palestine. Hell yeah, Kane. As well as, let's see here, Amber for the $5 over on Venmo. Thank you for the love, Amber. And Ansgar with the $10 over on PayPal. Thank you, guys. Take it away, Tylee, Mr. 27-year-old Trump supporter. Why do you support this terrible president?
Okay, so first I just want to say I actually, back in 2020, after I graduated college, I was the biggest Trump hater. I hated Trump.
Sad how a person can change.
Yeah, change for the good.
So why do you support him now? That's what we're interested in.
Well, because after I graduated college, I realized how kind of fucked up the world was and what was going on. And once Trump left office and Biden and Kamala took over, whatever, they what do you call it? Everything just went to shit. Gas prices went up, groceries went up.
Oh, man. Are you ready for the easiest counter argument I've ever made?
Go for it.
Explain to me how Biden and Harris caused any of these things. Be specific.
Well, part of what I think what the problem was, and I could be wrong, and so I'm open to you changing my mind. But I feel like a lot of the thing. Well, first of all, my biggest problem with the government during their time of being in office was all these Am I wrong when I say a lot of the immigrants
I
that were
feel
crossing?
like I am living on the 9th level of hell, and I'm in this never-ending loop. And I want to just end the live stream right now, and I'm not even trolling this. I'm not having a good time. Here's why I'm not having a good time. You're doing the same thing that the last 15 guests have, where you give me a reason why you support Trump. I give you a counter argument. You completely ignore it. But then you're like, well, how about undocumented immigrants? Okay, listen. You said that the Biden-Harris administration caused the price of gas, groceries, etc. to go up, and there's all these bad things that happen in their administration. I asked you the follow-up question. Explain to me how they personally caused any of those things, and please be specific. And you're not answering that question right now, so I humbly, politely, and directly ask you to please try to answer that question of how did they specifically cause the price of groceries or gas to increase? He left. I
think you're having a good time, man. It looks like you're having a good day. It looks like it's been really a productive dialogue today. Good conversation.
Oh my God, Parker. Oh my God. I can't take it. I can't take it. This is it, chat.
Look, we got Beavis and Butthead up here. Let's go.
Oh, okay. Someone's already mad. Okay. What's wrong?
What do you want,
Sorry,
Bruce?
Butthead.
What do you want, Bruce?
What's up, Bruce? Why'd you vote for
I
Donald
just
Trump?
find it funny, like both of you guys run from me every time I bring up good points, and I finally have both of you here, and I just think it's a fucking great time.
Okay, can I ask you why you voted for Donald Trump?
Yeah, he makes my life better.
How do you make your life better?
All the turmoil that was going down from 2020 to 2024 isn't going down anymore, such as
Wait, who was president in 2020?
Yeah, president in 2020. That's exactly what I was going to say.
I mean,
well, that's
both
rough.
Presidents. President,
I'm so scared of his good points. I'm so scared.
Yeah, this guy's gonna have the best points.
President
ever. Hey, real quick, Bruce, I gotta thank Veteran for the $50 super chat over on YouTube. Thank you so much, Veteran. Veteran says, "How can debate cultists that are literally holding the green ball and swearing it's yellow?" They are not existing in our reality, but you are, sir. God bless veteran. I love you. 500 veteran W's. Thank you for the $50 donation over on that YouTube super chat. Huge shout out to veteran. Bruce, can I get a W veteran from you real quick, sir? Will you thank
W veterans.
Space.
And Tiago, thank you for the $10. Thank you so much, Tiago, as well as Janelle. Thank you so much. I appreciate the $20 on Venmo. Thank you so much, Janelle.
And Sugarshine with a $50 super chat saying, "You two give me hope for the future." Thank you, Sugarshine. Not only for the kind message, but also for the $50 donation. Shout out Sugarshine and veteran. So,
as well as Sugarshine, thank you for the $50 YouTube super chat as well. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Sugarshine. Thank you.
So, Dean, you
hey,
realize
Bruce, can we get some a W for Sugarshine?
Yeah, W Sugarshine.
Okay, Bruce, give us the argument that you think
I mean,
will
you realize I
eventually
said 2020 to 2024 as I'm inferring about president-elect. If you want me to just say 2021 to 2025, you know.
So you agree that Donald Trump
different
lost the
color.
2020 election?
I mean, Biden was president.
Nice.
So who won?
Biden won.
Great. We can't even talk about that. I got a flag for that earlier. They're really strict on it right
Really?
now. Yeah, Bruce. Okay, so you're basically saying that the Biden-Harris administration sucks so bad that Trump's doing a good job now. First of all, that just simply doesn't logically follow. I don't understand
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying.
Great, Brace. First of all, that just simply doesn't logically follow. I don't understand why you guys are so deranged with Biden that you think your perceived performance of his administration means that Donald Trump is doing a good job today. But I'll still disagree with it. I think that the Biden-Harris administration did great things for this country. Their domestic policy was some of the very best domestic policy that we have seen in modern American history, if not ever, right? So
Like
what is
what?
one domestic... Sure, the PACT Act that invested $800 million into the expansion of VA healthcare benefits.
So what did we see instantly?
Great. So I'm
Did we see any
telling you
instance?
the policies. You're going to listen to me because you asked a question, and I'm going to give you your damn answer. Don't interrupt the
Nothing.
answer to your question. You asked me like what? Like the PACT Act that invested $800 million into the expansion of VA healthcare benefits. The Chips and Science Act, in which promoted and invested in American chip producers, so we'd go from producing less than 1% of the global supply of chips to 30 in the next 6 years. The American Rescue Plan, which helped America rebound from the pandemic, invested so much money into our economy and increase in consumer confidence, and gave us the quickest bounce back from the negative economic implications onset by the pandemic out of any other country in the G7. The infrastructure bill, rebuilding American infrastructure, creating jobs, putting money back into the pockets of the people. Those were the great policies of the Biden-Harris administration. In fact, I want to ask you a question. Can you name
Little
me
boy
one bad
numbers.
policy?
800 million. We just got a $5 trillion investment from fucking Middle East. So
That's not true.
Those little
From
boy
who?
numbers, bro.
From
Bryce,
who?
that's
5
not-
trillion from who?
That's not true.
Well, Saudi Arabia was 1.4. UAE was 0.8.
No, all
Qatar
wrong.
was,
All wrong.
you know, something
All
else.
wrong. I want you.
And
I want you
a
to.
bunch of these are new. So.
Yeah, sure. Please give me.
So you're
one,
talking about little boy numbers.
Please give me one White House fact sheet that justifies the investment figures that you just gave. They're so ridiculously false that not even Donald Trump's own White House has proposed them.
I mean, it's coming out of the Middle Eastern's mouth. So
give us
fuck
the
it.
fact sheets from the
Fuck
White
it,
House.
dude.
What? Bruce, you're delusional. Give us
No,
a
I'm
source.
not. No, I'm not.
Give us a source.
I'll give you plenty of sources.
Do it. By the way, those figures came out of Trump's mouth. And they were wrong. They were so wrong that even his own White House corrected him. Like on the fact sheets talking about the investments, they like reduced them by like 1 billion times. Funny enough. But
That's actually really funny.
yeah, it's also funny because he told us that he likes Trump because of how bad Biden and Harris were. And then I asked him to explain like how he thought they were bad by telling me the bad policy they passed. And then he says, well, they were so bad because of how good Trump is.
Here's one source: the Economic Times.
Sure, give us the title.
UAE to invest $1.4 trillion.
That's not the number you provided.
And that's just one of the numbers. I said 5 trillion from different countries, so that's about 25% of the number. So I'll give you the rest of the.
That's
total.
25. You think that's wait? You said that's
I
25%
said it's
of
around
5 million?
I said it's around 25%. 1.4
Of 5
is
million?
around-
Oh,
of
okay.
5 trillion.
Wait,
1.4
actually, I'd like to make it
divided by
clear.
5.
So that is
Wait,
one.
it was 0.4.
So that's $1.4 trillion over the next 10 years, which is $140 billion
40 billion,
per
yeah.
year.
For 10 years.
And now, if you would like me to finish,
And that just one
would
country, my
could
friend.
Could I finish speaking?
Sure, Beavis.
My name is Dean.
Okay.
Can you refer to me as Dean?
Okay. I will.
Good boy.
Okay. You are a good boy, Dean.
Bruce, you just got fucking
Okay,
absolutely
butthead.
dismantled, bud.
So anyways, so it's
let fucking this guy talk.
That's $140 billion per year. He wants to highlight this win
For
to
10 years.
Hey, man, do you know how to engage in a civil conversation without interrupting?
Oh, just don't leave shit out, bro. Thanks.
I wasn't leaving that out, little bro. You just simply weren't listening to what I'm saying.
Okay, big bro.
Do you have an ability to speak without being like just a total annoying asshole?
Just speak the whole thing. Nothing, no lies, no bullshit.
Okay.
He said no. He essentially just said no.
I'm gonna go ahead and just make the boundaries of the space clear. I'm not gonna kick you if you interrupt me again. I'm just gonna start muting you if you interrupt me again. Is that fair?
Just don't lie, bro. You're good.
No, I want you to tell me, is it fair if I start muting you if you continue to interrupt me?
Not if you're lying, but yeah, I'll be quiet.
Okay, well, what you think is a lie is a fact, right? But that's what we're here
No,
to
I'm just saying, don't leave out the 10 years. You said
I didn't leave out the 10
billion
years.
a year. Okay,
it's 140 billion a year for 10 years.
Okay. I'll be quiet now.
You just interrupted me again when saying that you'd be quiet now. Like, Bruce, I don't understand if you know how bad of a day I'm having. My day has been so bad.
Understand.
My day's been so bad that I'm willing to kick you if you continue to not do what I say just like that.
Everyone share some love to Dean. Love to Dean. Let's help him have a better day.
Like, my day's been so bad that I'm willing to just kick you for that and move on and choose peace. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next guest, everybody. Just give us a minute. Dude, listen, man. The last 24 hours I've had, let me tell you, it's been crazy. Oh my God. Let's gonna get that next guest loaded into the stream, guys. If you are in that queue, make sure that doesn't mean that you are Maga. We're gonna get that next guest up here literally right now. Glory, thank you for the heart puff. If you are Maga, let me know down below in that comment section. We'll pull you up here. All right, what's going on, Daisy? Do you support Trump?
1 second.
Oh, I don't think that Daisy is here. Oh, look at Bruce begging to come back onto the stream.
Is he actually?
Yeah, he is.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, what's up, Noah? 1 second. I meant to bring Bruce back up, but I clicked on you instead. So Bruce,
why are you begging?
Do you see where you went wrong?
Yeah, man, I'll be quiet. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. But at least now
No,
you know
right.
Bruce, I feel like you're doing this on purpose to like try to make me crash out. I can't believe it. Anyways, so yeah, when Donald Trump is talking about like the highlighted wins of securing $140 billion per year invested from the UAE into American manufacturing, he's only doing that because of how much he's crippled other forms of investment into American manufacturing. Like, for instance, investment in American industries was stagnant under the entirety of Donald Trump's first administration. Then when Biden and Harris got in office, they promoted a very prosperous and engaging economy. And we saw the largest boom that we've ever seen in investment in American industries, right? And since Donald Trump won the election in the first quarter of 2025, we've seen a total and complete stagnation, right? So when he's highlighting those small wins, we'd expect that given all the L's that he's been taking as it relates to that same level of investment, just being stagnant compared to what was booming under the Biden-Harris administration.
So you want to say there's small wins, but claim Biden's $800 million investment is this huge fucking win when Donald Trump got 100 times that amount, if not fucking maybe.
When did we claim this?
Do you want to see what?
Like maybe 3 to 5 minutes ago.
I'll show you what to win.
Not you.
I'll show you what to win.
But
so this is from Fred, the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, and this is tracking investment into American manufacturing. Under Donald Trump's first term, we actually saw like an overall reduction from his first day to his last day, even if we ignore COVID. You want to see the win? This is the win, okay? From the day Biden took office to the
because
day
inflation
Trump
went
left.
up ass.
No, this is real. This is real. This is real investment. This is real private fixed investment, meaning it's accounting for inflation a little bit.
Wow, that was actually really rough.
So
you just got cooked.
Yeah,
bro.
you just got absolutely. You know what? Go ahead and
Well, no,
concede
I
that you
didn't
got
know
fucked.
it was real or not. I would just, inflation, if, a fucking thing of milk costs $3 with Trump and all of a sudden it costs $9 with Biden.
So those were real figures. What is
Normal
it?
people were tired of that shit.
Wait. Now you're pivoting. What does it mean for those figures to be real?
Real, that means they account for inflation.
Oh, okay. So the massive fucking boom that I just showed you in investment in American manufacturing under the Biden-Harris administration accounted for inflation. So your response saying that it was because of inflation was totally fucking false. It was a fraud.
That was before
and
I knew
no
it
evidence
was
to
real,
justify it.
yeah.
Oh, so you're just
Yeah,
talking out of
of
your ass with
course.
no reason at all.
No, I was challenging the fact if it was real or not.
No,
That's all.
you were just attributing baseless speculation,
Hey, dude,
speculatory
we
reasons
don't gotta
insofar
get
as why we saw
mad.
the
Like,
boom.
I was just challenging you to that.
Wait. You think that I'm getting upset by merely pointing out the fact that you made a claim with no reason at all?
There was no reason to not make that claim.
Wait, so you're saying that I have to provide reason that you're wrong? You don't have to
Yeah,
provide
you gotta
reason that
show
you're
me
right?
it's real. Yeah.
Okay, so Donald Trump raped a 10-year-old girl last night. That's why you shouldn't support him. In order for this claim to be false,
You know what
you
real
must prove it
inflation
wrong.
is versus fucking not real inflation?
Real inflation isn't a thing.
Okay, well, that real thing you just said, how I explained it to you where it counts
Now,
for
can you please
inflation.
answer my question? You shouldn't support Donald Trump because he raped a 10-year-old girl last night.
I don't-
And in order for this claim to be wrong, you have to prove it wrong, according to your.
I refuse to do hypotheticals with you.
Okay, so
'Cause
you refuse to engage in the level of critical thought that I'd expect out of a third grader.
No.
You understand that we started using hypotheticals to learn more in third grade.
So allow me to
No. We started using hypotheticals to learn more and to be more critical of reality in third grade. Remember the whole, if you produce 5 apples a year for 5 years and you sell 3 per year, how many apples would you have left over? That's hypothetical to better understand the world around us.
That's
what
for
third
math.
graders do. So if third graders can do it, why can't you do it?
That's for math, not political.
Hypotheticals can be relevant to understand reality in other contexts than just math, buddy.
All right, may I respond?
I mean, you could either engage in the hypothetical.
All right, yeah. So I'm gonna defend this, and if you don't think it's
No,
right,
I'll ask you to
then
engage
let me
in
know.
hypothetical. Once again,
This is
the
why I
hypothetical
don't
that I
feel-
want you to engage in is the fact that you said that in order for you to be wrong,
Hey.
I have to prove you wrong. Okay, so in order for me to be wrong, you have to prove me
trying to
wrong.
speak.
You shouldn't support Donald Trump because last night he raped a 10-year-old girl. That's going to be true unless you could prove it wrong.
Hey, I'm trying to speak now.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Please engage in the hypothetical.
Hey, keep puffing on your fake anxiety pen, buddy.
Okay,
It's
I will.
it's a real anxiety pen.
So go ahead and respond
because
to
it
that.
accounts for inflation.
All right, so this is my thing, and this is my defense on why I'm not doing hypotheticals with you, because you set up this questioning that's so aligned, and you give me a yes or no response when I don't even agree with the basis of the fucking question.
What's
so
the
no,
basis
I'm
of
not
the
gonna.
question?
The whole conversation we had was about real versus non-real, and when it comes to inflation and money and all that, which there's either two options, and now you want to bring that into a whole different topic about dude. We all know what real versus non-real. At least you and I know what it means.
What are you yapping about at this
Yeah,
point?
you seem to be
Everyone already
struggling to
understood that.
qualify why you won't engage in my
No,
hypothetical.
okay. How about this? How about I'll answer your question, and let's see where you go after this. Let's see how you twist and turn it and try and manipulate it.
Go
Go ahead, ask your question.
Yeah, well, I mean, you said in order for you to be wrong, I have to prove you wrong. You don't have to prove yourself right. So if the burden of the proof would rely on the individual making the negation of a claim, well, please provide me evidence that Donald Trump didn't grape a 10-year-old girl last night. Keep in mind, if you can't
I'm not the
provide me
one saying
evidence
he did.
that he didn't grape a 10-year-old girl last night, this must imply that he did
Oh,
grape a 10-year-old
I
girl last night.
understand your question now. Okay, I'm not the one saying that. So yeah, if you provide the evidence, I should be able to ask if it's real or not. And you showed me, so there it is.
Right, exactly.
Here's your answer.
So just like you're the one that made the claim that graph accounted for inflation, you did so with no reason.
Because I didn't know if it
you
was
had no
real or
reason
not
to
real.
make the claim that graph did not account for inflation.
Look what we're arguing about, dude. I already agreed with you on.
Yeah, Bruce.
when
Then
you
let's just
told me it
establish
was
that.
real.
Let's just establish the reality that under Donald Trump's presidency, that manufacturing actually
Here, I'll let you talk,
decreased.
Hunter.
Actually decreased, and under Biden's administration, manufacturing increased.
Okay, that's great. But how did the American people feel?
Okay,
That's
so
what
then
you guys don't
okay.
understand.
So point to what metric of the economy was bad because of the Biden-Harris administration.
Okay, so rent prices were up the ass. Okay, gas was up the ass.
Okay,
How was that caused by the
Legal
Biden-Harris?
immigration was up the ass.
How were those caused by the Biden-Harris
Shutdowns.
administration?
Oh, right here, by fucking shutdowns, by telling people to social
That
distance
happened under
and not go to
Trump?
work.
That happened under Trump?
It happened with both, but one happened in the
Okay.
beginning of C-19, and one happened for no fucking
There
reason
was not a second.
year after
There
C-19.
was not a second round of business shutdowns under the Biden-Harris administration.
No, it was just extended up the ass.
No, this becomes evidently clear when you look at a graph of unemployment under the two administrations.
And let's look at the beautiful graph.
Yeah,
We've
for
done
sure.
this before.
Just go to
Yeah, look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Matter
It'd
of
be great.
fact, this is where you kicked me last time because I was fucking poning you on this bullshit that you tried to pull.
Okay, so you admit that we already talked, but secondly, like you are not addressing what we just said. It's on the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Bro,
You
I
could
admitted
look at
we
the-
already talked the first time I got
Wait,
up
wait,
here.
wait.
because
Let
I
me
said
ask
you
you a
guys
question.
fucking ran.
Wait,
both
wait.
of
Let me
you.
ask you a question. So if business shutdowns cause, so your claim would be that business shutdowns cause higher level of like gas prices in America, for instance, because there's less individuals to like get gas, right?
Well,
Meaning
no,
that
that's
domestic
not my
production was
claim.
low.
I'd say.
So then how did they cause high levels of gas?
Do you want me to clear up my claim? Because you're not understanding what
No,
my claim
you
is.
claim that the Biden-Harris administration caused the price of gas to go up. So how did the Biden-Harris administration cause the price of gas to go up?
Okay. That wasn't part of my claim.
It was.
I said rent was up the ass.
Yeah, you said rent was up. You said gas was up. Yeah, it was.
I did say gas was up the
we'll
ass.
start there. So how did the Biden-Harris administration increase the
inflation
price
was
of
up the
gas?
ass. Inflation was up the ass.
Sir, would you please tell us how the Biden-Harris administration caused an increase in the price of gas?
Yeah. So let me speak now.
Go
Okay?
for it.
All right. Thank you. So when you tell small businesses to shut down and everyone just stay at home and collect a check,
That
that's
happened under
understandable.
Trump's administration.
Parker, I already got this.
Parker.
Just watch this.
Thank you, Parker.
Because
Thank you, Dean.
What you're saying is true, Parker. He just won't get it. So I just have another.
Okay.
one.
Okay. So
in other words,
let me know, bro. Let me know when
continue,
I'm done.
Yeah, continue speaking.
All right, yeah, yes, it happened in both presidencies. The only difference is the start of C-19 was with Trump. We already saw a major bounce back in the stock market with Trump. We already got fully bounced back.
Okay, you're deviating. The original question is,
Well,
how did the
all right.
Biden-Harris administration cause an increase in the price of
Out
gas?
the window with that shit. Out the window. So I won't talk about the summer. All right, so when you're a year, 2 years into C-19 and you're still telling people you need a social distance, even though Dr. Fauci said just last year that it doesn't matter if you wore a mask or if you social distance, none of that shit mattered.
That's not what he said.
But when you tell,
Parker,
that's what he said in his 4-hour fucking.
Okay,
interview.
dude. Okay, you're giving me a fucking like preamble to the Constitution when I'm just asking you how they increase the price of gas.
15 more seconds of fucking flying this beautiful private jet. So when you tell people to sit down, collect a check, and collect unemployment because of a fake C-19 scare, that's going to create major inflation.
Okay. So what about the fake C-19 scare, according to you, made the price of gas in America more expensive? Be specific how that impacted the equilibrium price of gas in America.
Don't look at inflation.
Okay, so you're just saying that it happened under their term, therefore they caused it?
Look at the skyrocketing inflation.
Okay, so are you saying that like domestic supply of oil went down because the Biden-Harris administration shut down oil drillers or required people working on the rigs to socially distance?
Here's what I'll say. I'll say Trump's average gas prices, both of his terms are lower than Biden's.
Oh, okay.
Period.
So,
Point blank.
you're just saying that the prices were higher under Biden, therefore he caused that. That's your argument, right?
Yeah, Trump also had lower gas prices than
okay.
Obama.
Right. So, like, the question that Parker asked you was, how did they cause it? Okay, just saying that they're merely president while it happened is not telling us what they did
I
while they were
told you,
president to make it happen.
When you cause inflation.
Bruce, I'm just going to be totally honest. The fact that you're still answering my question is unbelievable.
I'm still
answer the direct question.
Yeah, like, once again, the direct question is, like, literally, what did the Biden-Harris administration do to make gas in America more expensive? Did they pass an EO? Did they, pass a policy through Congress? Did they decrease domestic production? Did they cut imports? Like, what is it that their administration did that made your gas at the pump more expensive while they were president? Okay? And Bruce, honestly, we have been trying to get this answer from you for 10, 20 minutes now.
Did I not just explain, like, how inflation was created by telling people to not work and collect a check?
Okay, so basically you're saying that the price of gas in America went up because there's less people working on oil rigs, therefore the supply of oil went down, right?
Well, no, simply I'm saying inflation got up to 9%, and
Okay, so if that's
We
not
got
what you're saying,
fucked
okay.
hard.
So if that's not what you're saying insofar as how the administration of made the price of gas more expensive, then what are you saying? What about like their apparent order for people not to go to work made gas more expensive? Connect the dots.
I feel like Biden's handling of OPEC was garbage.
Biden's handling of OPEC. So it had to do with OPEC's production of oil. Okay. So what about Biden's handling of OPEC made gas in America more expensive?
I'll answer that if you let me fucking speak. Because I'm not answering this shit if I'm getting cut off 3 seconds into it.
I actually haven't cut you off yet, which I'm surprised about myself.
That goes for you too, Parky.
So let's hear it. What about his management of OPEC made
All
the
right.
gas in America more expensive?
So Trump in 2020.
Fuck you.
That was funny as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. Hella hilarious, but take it away, Bruce.
Okay. All right. We good now?
Yeah, we're great. Take it away.
All right.
what
So
about
Trump.
Biden's
Okay.
handling of OPEC?
Okay.
We are not even talking about Trump. We're talking about how Biden made
I'm
gas more
telling you
expensive in
how it
America.
started, dude, and so let me say, because you're about to hear it.
I don't know, man. I would actually prefer
All right,
you
come
not
on,
to,
come
just so
on,
we
let-
could have like two sentences
let Bruce
from you about
talk.
what Biden did and his mismanagement of OPEC.
Let Bruce talk.
Go for it.
All right, here I come. All right, so in 2020, Trump had to lower the production of gasoline because, I mean, he was put in a hard.
Thank you.
I didn't kick him. He was
Thank
banned by
you.
community guidelines.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I didn't kick him.
W TikTok. W TikTok in the chat. Can we get some fucking W's for TikTok? Let's go.
Yo. And okay. For those on YouTube, you haven't even seen me. Like, go for my laptop. Watch this. You're gonna watch my hands for the first time. Pick up my phone from over there just to prove to you guys I didn't kick him. Right there, I didn't kick him. That's nuts, dude. Oh my god, that'd be TikTok. That was funny as fuck. I gotta say, that is like one of the best time bans I've probably ever seen. Like that's gotta be
the
like
best time ban.
all-time best ban. I gotta say that was pretty sweet, man. That's pretty cool.
Randy, think of the $20 on YouTube super chat. Kira, think of the $1, and then Owen, think of the £5. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Owen, as well as Rocio. Thank you so much for the $15 on Venmo. Thank you so much, Rocio. I really appreciate it.
Tom, thank you for the $25 on Venmo. Tom says, please debate me. I've been trying to get in for months at the A10, the dishwasher. I'll bring you up, Tom. Thank you for the $25. Show some love to Tom down below in that chat. As well as Shelby, thank you for the $10. And I hope you have a better day, Dean. Plus, tell Momo I said, pss, 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 pss. I'll make sure I tell Momo. Thank you for the $10, Shelby. Haley with the $5. Thank you so much. Odessa with the $10. Thank you so much. I'm sorry that you've been having a rough day, and I'm sorry about what happened to you and your girlfriend yesterday. Thank you for everything that you do. I appreciate that, Odessa. And yeah, that was pretty rough yesterday. I'm not going to lie, man. As well as PR Day, thank you for the $15 on Venmo, saying listening to you has kept me sane and entertained. Well, dude, it's made me a little bit more insane, but I'm happy that it's made you sane. Thank you for the $15 up here. That's why I do what I do. And Samantha, thank you for the $20, saying props to you for trying to fix stupid. I try my best, Samantha. Thank you for the love. Lauren, thank you for the $5 over at Venmo as well. Let's see here. Michael, thank you for the $5 on PayPal, and Scar with a 10, and Yashika with a 15. How do you not crash out every time these brainless, spineless people join my live? It takes a lot of self-control, and quite frankly, I do crash out quite a bit. And Audrey, thank you for the $7, Finn with a 1, and Emily with a 5.
Quite frankly.
For those asking what happened in the chat, I could kind of rehash it while we're getting the next guest up in the live. But basically, some lunatic like followed us while we were out and about grabbing dinner. And then when we inevitably like got to the place where we're going to eat, they pulled up next to us, rolled down the back window, and out popped something that looked identical to a long rifle, like an AR, pointed right at us. Some person with like something concealing and covering their face, pointing at us out of this back window, this incredibly tinted car. Okay. Then they shoot twice at us, but it ended up being like a BB gun, like pellets. One is like right past us. The other, grazes my girlfriend's hair. So they missed, and it was just a BB gun, which was good. And then they sped off and they drove away. Call the cops, charge whoever did it with felony menacing, but they haven't caught him yet. Anyways, yeah, it was pretty nuts, man. It was just a BB gun, but it's still terrifying because A, you have something pointed at you that looks like a gun. You kind of do feel like a little bit scared for your life. B, looking at like my girlfriend's really shaken up. She like doesn't even really want to go out in public with me anymore. And like C, like the thought that's been going on in my head is like, well, what if it was a real gun? You know what I mean? What's going on, William? Maga and Swag, do all three of you support Trump?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I do.
Okay, awesome.
I previously did. I do not now.
Okay, who's that just said that they previously did? Which one of you?
Swag.
Swag. All right. Well, I appreciate you for coming up, man. Also, I've seen a
Peace.
couple people in the chat saying that you wish it was a real gun. That's MAGA for you guys. That's MAGA. I mean,
That's actually insane.
yeah, if you want a good depiction of like, you know, who these people are, you know, just look at the handful of people like in the chat right now, just like publicly called for me and my girlfriend, public execution. You know what I mean? That's MAGA.
That's so disgusting.
But anyways, MAGA and William, guys, take it away. Tell us why you support Trump.
I support Trump because of his social and economic policies that are conservative.
Okay. What about his economic policies like fiscally conservative? Because like fiscal conservatism under like my perception is like cutting expenditure, downsizing the size of the government. But he's ballooning it. I mean, like he wants to add $3.8 trillion to our expenditure with one bill, right? That's more than every dollar spent that was non-COVID related by the last administration.
Elon said it went against everything that he did at Doge.
Yeah, for me, it's mostly tax cuts and lowering inflation. But
tax cuts for who?
Well, in his 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, he lowered the corporate tax rate from 35 to 21.
Ah, okay. Well, what about his big, beautiful bill that increases taxes for 80% of Americans, according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities?
I haven't heard of that myself. So, I mean, if you're probably more educated on that than I am. But, I mean, for me, I think decreasing taxes for all Americans. But, I mean, obviously, the more rich are going to benefit more from it. That's why
like my claim is that 80% of Americans don't benefit from AL. They're actually served a detriment. Once again, 80% of Americans' after-tax income is going to go down if it passes through the Senate, and it's going to regressively negatively impact you more the less money you make. For instance, the after-tax income of the bottom 20% of income earners in America is going to go down by $2,200. Meanwhile, the top 1%, their after-tax income is going to go up by $25,000.
Yeah, but don't you think that's really kind of how it should be?
What?
No, I don't think.
Are you
that
insane?
We should take money from the poor and give it to the rich. I think that's insane.
Are you Robin Hood for the rich? Hello? Hello, you want to take money from the poor and give it to the rich?
Obviously, as a liberal, that's what you guys support. You support wealth redistribution. However,
You support wealth redistribution to the rich. Hello?
I'm not saying that there shouldn't be an aspect. Sorry for interrupting.
Listen, like I just want you to be clear on what you're saying, because I don't even know if you know what you're saying. You said it should be the case that we make the poor poorer and make the richer richer. Like, are we clear that's what you're saying?
I'm advocating that there should be some form of progressive tax rate. I understand that some forms of income above a certain amount should be taxed at a higher rate. However, what I'm say it again.
You just contradict yourself. The bill you just supported, specifically the big, beautiful bill, 80% of Americans will receive a tax increase.
Correct, but it doesn't completely destroy the progressive tax rate.
What? Oh, it doesn't destroy the progressive tax rate, but it makes it less progressive.
By the way, I just want to show you how you're totally engaging in this MAGA cult shit. Like the first thing you said when you joined the live is you're a fiscal conservative. This is why you support Trump, because he's giving tax cuts to the average American. When we tell you that's false and inform you that he's actually increasing taxes on the average American, all of a sudden it's still a good thing, even though it contradicts the first sentence you said when you joined the live.
Well,
William, are you in the top 20% of income earners?
Yes, I am. Well,
so
my parents are. Yes.
So you aren't.
Correct. Yes.
So you're increasing your taxes to decrease taxes on your parents?
I mean, it's for me. Obviously, I'm a college student, so I mean, yeah, for me, yes, but for my parents, that's me.
Yeah. So you're okay with your taxes increasing?
I mean, I don't really pay that much in taxes. I mean, and I don't really have that much.
You will when you have a job.
You're correct, but I mean, I'm saying in the future, if I end up in that higher percent of income, I support that policy.
Okay. So then it is the case that you're supporting policies that give extra money to the rich explicitly because of the possible chance that you could get in the top 20% of income earners.
By the way, the top 20% of income earners only take home an additional $400 per year. It's the top 1% that really benefits by taking an additional $25,000 home per year. And by the time you're in the top 1% of income earners, what is the value of an additional $25,000 per year? How much is that going to increase the quality of your life? Maybe a little, but not much. Definitely not enough to justify decreasing the quality of life for 200 million Americans. It's kind of like some psycho shit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as liberals, I know you guys do support more so. Like, obviously, the rich don't need the money as much. I know that's kind of your guys' philosophy. I'm
Hey,
not
wait!
correct me if I'm
Don't
wrong.
just like break this down to me being a liberal. Just kind of like
That's just reality.
Like break this down to like me being realistic, not liberal, but realistic, right? Like I just don't think that there's justification to say that the top 1% should get an additional $25,000 per year, which won't increase the quality of their life because of the diminishing returns of the value of the dollar, at the expense of severely undermining the quality of life for the average American and low income Americans. You know, $2,200 per year is, you know, like dinner for a couple months for low income earners, right? Like that's what they'll be forgoing for what? Enough money to buy a mid-grade Rolex for the top 1% earners? That's psycho shit.
Correct. What I will say though, Parker, like you made a claim along the lines of I'm increasing my own taxes to lower my parents because obviously I'm not making that amount of money now. But for me, who wants to go to law school, essentially a lawyer who is probably going to have a six-figure salary at least coming right out of law school, right? I assume for me, I support obviously the incentive to work and obviously achieve those higher salaries. If you put that work in,
you still have that. I'm sorry, you still have that incentive. I think it's incredibly disingenuous for you to be like you care more about the extra $25,000 you'd get in extra income, given that you're going to be a lawyer and already making over six digits, comparative to people getting like food on the table for their kids. We're talking about like increasing the child tax credit through Kamala Harris's policy that, when implemented in 2021, reduced childhood poverty by 45%. I care a hell of a lot more about middle class families getting help, right, and getting benefits than I care about rich people getting extra money. Right? And that's what you're arguing. You're arguing you care more about rich people getting a little bit of extra money, right, than you care about specifically people having food on their table for their children.
I mean, yeah, but that destroys the incentive.
Yeah.
Wait, would you say that you don't have incentive without the big beautiful bill to make more money?
I mean, obviously there is a progressive tax rate out there, but
Are you going to answer my question? Do you have incentive as it exists to make more money?
He was already on track to do it. Yeah, you were already on track to become a lawyer regardless. It's not going to change, right, your particular incentive. You're going to do it regardless.
Also, like, would you support enslaving 1/3 of the American population? If you
No,
didn't know
obviously
any
not.
of them personally and it benefited you economically speaking?
Absolutely not.
Why?
But I'm not going to enslave them.
Why?
We're just talking about taxes.
Wait. Why?
Because obviously I don't want to enslave people.
Would you say that
terrible.
it's like you're harming others for like a marginal personal gain to yourself, and that's wrong?
Yes, but that destroys the incentive to work.
That's what the big beautiful bill does. Is it harms 200 million Americans for 6 million Americans for a very marginal benefit.
Well, let me just give you a
No. Respond to what I just said. Like, seriously.
Okay, sorry. I didn't hear. I'm sorry. What did you say?
We should give like little benefit to the top 1%, an additional $25,000 per year. That's not going to change anybody's life if they're already a part of the top 1%. But at the expense of harming 200 million citizens in the low and middle class. That is a very bad thing, right? Because A, you're harming a lot of people for a little benefit to yourself, and like B, that benefit to yourself is very marginal and probably wouldn't impact the quality of your life at all, right? Why do I have to explain this to you? Like, are you just like actually like you have no empathy, or and it even extends beyond empathy as well? Like, there's like pragmatic reasons to not support this either, because obviously the country as a whole is going to be better off when more people in it are better off. And when you make 200 million people in the economy worse off, like the economy as a whole will be performing worse as well, right? Like this is just such like an indefensible view, right? Like I don't think that you've been able to significantly rebuttal any argument that I've made, that Parker's made, or even just defend the view.
Fair enough, but it's the separation of our economic incentives to work. I mean, if you're going to say that the low and the middle class should have this financial benefit because these rich people don't need it, that destroys all incentive to work. Let's just say, for instance...
You're doing a red herring to my position because you're not responding to what I'm saying. I'm simply saying that giving the top 1% more money by taking money away from everybody else is a very bad plan.
Don't you think that a lawyer should make more than someone who works at McDonald's who's a criminal?
Another red herring, because it is the case that lawyers make more than McDonald's workers already. So I want you to respond to the very specific thing I said that you haven't responded to yet. You've been deceiving all of the viewers by basically responding to positions that I haven't made clear. The position that I want you to respond to is that it is bad to raise taxes on the poorest among us. It is bad to raise taxes on 200 million of us just to decrease the taxes marginally and insignificantly on 6 million of us. That's what I want you to respond to.
Is that what the bill in particular does?
Yes.
Okay. So in that sense, if we were raising taxes on the poor and then decreasing taxes on the rich specifically, that would be predatory taxing, correct? But that's not what I'm talking about.
Well, that is what the Big Beautiful Bill does. Because remember, according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, it reduces the after-tax income for the top 1% by $25,000. Meanwhile, it increases the after-tax income for the top 1% by $25,000 per year. Meanwhile, it reduces the after-tax income for 80% of Americans, serving to the worst detriment to the bottom 20% of income earners by reducing their after-tax income by $2,200 per year.
Okay. If that's what the bill does, yes, that would be predatory taxing. Not necessarily. I don't agree with essentially raising taxes on the poor and decreasing taxes for the rich. If you're going to cut taxes,
That's
which
what
Trump
Donald Trump ran on. Donald Trump ran on that policy, and Kamala Harris ran on the opposite, where she would decrease taxes on low and middle income individuals by specifically increasing taxes on the rich.
Correct, and that destroys the incentive to work.
It doesn't, William. That's a ridiculous claim that it destroys the incentive to work. It does
correct.
not.
No, it absolutely does. If you're
no,
gonna
it
take
doesn't.
away
No,
the
it doesn't.
incentive
William,
to work,
are you going to? William, I have a question. I have a question. If it was the case that Kamala Harris won, would you have not been a lawyer? Would you not go to law school?
I would still go to law school. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then, what about the incentives changed for you?
I mean, obviously, I didn't know Kamala Harris was going to enact. Well, I mean, I didn't know Kamala Harris was going to enact that.
If Kamala Harris enacts that, like, what would you still do? You'd still go through law school.
Well,
so at the end of the day,
yes,
still you're going to want to.
I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing the sense that I wouldn't have gone to law school. I still wouldn't have wanted to become a high income individual, regardless of who was president. What I am
there you
saying,
go. You see what I mean?
But I'm saying I would rather prefer Trump's policies, which don't destroy the incentive to work.
Wait.
It doesn't destroy the incentive because you would do it regardless.
I have a question. I have a question. So, in
but it gives me and people who deserve it more money.
Some of the lowest levels of unemployment in the last 100 years was in the 1970s and 80s, right? What was the corporate tax rate in the 70s and 80s?
Not sure. You want to enlighten me?
45%.
Okay.
So I thought that higher taxes on corporations destroyed the incentive to work.
Correct.
Okay. Well, obviously they didn't. If we had the lowest levels of unemployment in the last 100 years.
I mean, if that's the case, yes, because they're investing that back into getting more jobs for low income people.
Right. It increases the incentive to offer more jobs, which means there's more people working. Great.
But it doesn't. It also destroys the incentive for those corporations to make money.
Okay. Prove it.
Well, because the corporate tax rate's 45% when it's I don't know what it is right now, 21. So I don't even know. I forget.
Wait, do tariffs destroy an incentive?
Tariffs? I'm not sure what you mean.
So tariffs are a tax, right?
Correct. On imported goods.
Yeah. So if it's a tax and it increases tax and that harms American importers, isn't that going to cause an issue for American importers?
I would say so. Yes.
Okay, so then you are then going to have to acknowledge that Donald Trump replacing income tax with tariffs would still keep that disincentive for corporations to make money while causing a more regressive negative impact towards the middle and lower class.
I agree with you on that. I don't think everything Donald Trump does is by all God.
So I just want to clarify. You agree that his tax policy is terrible?
His tariffs, yes.
No, his tax policy.
Like tax policy as a whole.
Wait. But you told me that it's predatory to take money from the poor and give it to the rich, and that's what it does.
If that's what it does, I was under the understanding they cut taxes for every single American. It just benefited top 1% more.
Yeah, that understanding is incorrect. Unless you would be able to provide me with a source that states it's correct, like I provided you with a source that states it's incorrect.
Well, I watched you on Jubilee, and I saw the fact checker that said that Trump's. I think it was Sam Cedar. I forget.
When I was on Jubilee, the big beautiful bill wasn't announced. When Sam Cedar was on Jubilee,
it was Sam Cedar, and it was talking about the taxes.
Even when Sam Cedar was on Jubilee, the BBB wasn't written yet. Like this is
again. I don't know what the bill entails. You guys probably.
Well, I gave you a source from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities that states that it entails a redistribution of wealth from the poor to the rich.
If that's the case, then
If
yeah,
that's
I
the
did
case, then you
not know
don't
that at all.
support. Then you don't support his tax policy. So why do you support Trump when you don't support his economic policy?
I was under the understanding that it cut taxes for everyone, but it just benefited rich people
Okay,
more.
why are you under this understanding?
Because from what I understood when I watched, again, the bill wasn't in, and at the time I watched that, I was just saying, or did at least the research on Trump's tax policies.
Okay, so you're talking about an understanding that you had before. What's your understanding right now?
Again, I'd have to, I mean, on the spot, I really can't. I mean, you want to, so you said, what does the bill entail again? Sorry for reminding me.
Redistribution of the wealth from the poor to the rich.
From the poor to the rich. Then yes, I wouldn't agree then, no.
Okay, great. So then why do you support Trump?
I mean, I was not under the understanding that was the case, but I'm not going to say that I also supported social policies as well.
Like what?
Like what social policies?
Pro-life legislation.
Kelsey, thank you for the $50 over on Venmo. I'm so sorry for interrupting you, but Kelsey, thank you so much. Kelsey says thank you for what you do, especially after the last 24 hours you've had. Maga's crazy. Wow, the chat is so crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of people crazy in the chat. Somebody made even a fake account to accuse me of raping them. I invited them up on the stream, but they didn't want to join. Oh, wow. But thank you so much for the $50, Kelsey. That is so incredibly kind of you. Can we get 500 Kelsey W's down below in that comment section literally right now? I do really appreciate you so much for the love. As well as Alana, thank you for the $20 over on Venmo as well. Alana says, please ask this trust fund baby who's paying for his college, then remind him that the majority of people who get degrees are trying to accomplish the same as him, are trapped by crippling debt for the rest of their lives. Who's paying for your college?
Yeah, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but my parents are paying for undergrad, and I'm paying for law school.
Okay, well, I appreciate you so much for the $20, Alana. That is incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much. That is incredibly kind. Thank you so much, Alana. Let's go ahead and check the PayPal. Everyone, just give us a minute. All right, guys, give me around 30 seconds here. Shout out Alana. So real. Also, Aaron, thank you for the $15 over on PayPal. Thank you so much, Aaron. Araya with the $10 on PayPal. Jonas with the $5. Thomas with the $5. Michael with the $10. And Ansgar, once again, thank you for the $10 over on PayPal. Thank you guys so much for the love.
Can I say thank you to a few people real quick as well? Randy, thank you for the $20. Kira, thank you for the $1. Owen, thank you so much for the £5. I really appreciate it. Brianna, thank you so much for the $50 on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Dre, thank you for the 7 Canadian. I really appreciate it. We don't have a scheduled one. Evelyn, thank you for the $5. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Samantha, thank you for the $5. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And then Jamie, thank you for the $5. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. They said, can you ask why he wants to be an attorney? Is it just for the money? And that they said from a victim advocate.
Kanan, thank you so much for the unicorn fantasy. I appreciate
Do you want me
that.
to respond to that, Parker? Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
Just because I thought I'm passionate about practicing law, but I want to do corporate tax. But yeah, that's the answer to a Venmo donation. So whatever, off topic.
So you also said that you're pro-life.
Correct.
Now, why is that?
I value all human lives from unborn to born.
Why?
Because it is murder to kill any person that's
murder
alive.
To kill any human.
Any human, correct.
Okay, so
unjustifiably.
So it's murder to kill a zygote because they're human. That fall under that principle.
Yes, that is 100% murder.
Okay.
Is it murder to pull the plug on an individual in your family that's brain dead?
Well, before we move on to the brain dead, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the zygote. So, I guess that's crazy to me to say that it's murder to end the life of a unicellular organism. So I guess
it's a human.
Just explain the view. Like, what about like the structure of our DNA makes us so totally morally important that it's, say, murder to kill a unicellular organism as long as it has a similar DNA structure to ours. But then again, it's like you turn around and it's like not murder to kill like a pig that has a sentience of a 3-year-old.
Okay, well, that's complete red herring in the sense that I'm talking about human life.
It's not a red herring. I'm just asking you, why do you place so much moral value on the structure of our DNA?
I'm saying that any human person that is a human life, any human life should be protected from the moment of conception.
I know, and I'm asking you why. I'm asking you, why is that? Like, what about our DNA gives us so much importance?
Because we are made in the image of God and we are human beings. It doesn't matter what stage of development it is.
There it is. So you think that what gives our DNA this importance is that we're made in the image of God. Are you a Christian?
I am a Catholic, yes.
You're a Catholic?
Correct.
Okay, first of all, I think that Catholicism is false.
That's respected. I mean, hey, you have your own opinion.
Orthodoxy superiority over here, okay? All right. Great Schism was right. Anyway. Okay. I think that we should separate the church and the state. What about you?
Correct. Yes, but I mean, my abortion stance is defensible from a non-Catholicism perspective.
Okay, so defend it from a secular perspective. What about the structure of our DNA?
Okay, I won't say
think
image of
gives
God
us
if that's what it
moral
is. I
value?
will say that I respect every single moment of every single human life from the moment of conception to death.
Okay, and it's murder to kill any of them. So, do you think that murderers should be held accountable?
Correct. Yes.
Do you think murderers should go to jail?
Yes.
So, you think if I were to kill a zygote, for instance, I should go to jail?
I mean, yes.
Okay. Do you understand how I might find that crazy?
Because you don't value human life when it's before it's born.
Well, we'll give
that's
you an even
that's
crazier
messed up,
example.
man.
So, another red herring to the position. Do you know what an IUD is?
Yes, I know what an IUD is.
Okay. An IUD is a form of birth control, right?
Correct.
You know, one of the two functions of IUDs are to kill zygotes by preventing them from implanting into the uterine lining. Can we agree?
Correct.
So if there's a woman with an IUD that knows it can do this and still decides to be sexually active, they're a murderer.
No, they're not, because that's not the important. That's not the intent of the IUD. When you have an IUD, you don't know if the egg's been fertilized, so it's not intentional killing.
Okay. Well, you're saying that it's not the main function of the IUD?
The IUD is to prevent implantation, not kill the zygote. Sometimes it will be fertilized, but that's not the intent. Murder is the intention.
I have a question. What is the intention of a pencil?
To write, I would assume.
So if I take a pencil and stab it into your neck and kill you, I'm not a murderer, since that wasn't the intention of the design of the pencil.
That is a huge red herring.
It's not, because what you're telling me is although IUDs can kill zygotes, and although women know that IUDs can kill zygotes, that was not the intended prescribed function of the IUD, therefore it can't be murder. So although a pencil can kill you if stabbed into your neck, and although I knew this when I stabbed it into your neck, it wasn't murder because that wasn't the intended design of the pencil.
That was a huge red herring because we're talking about the intent of the person who's getting the abortion or having the IUD. The IUD is designed to prevent implantation, and it's not murder if they don't know if the egg's been fertilized.
Okay, so you're basically saying that they didn't know this could happen? Well, it was implied within the question that I asked you that they did. They did know that IUD can kill a zygote, and it did.
But it's not the intention.
Intention of whom?
It's not the intention of when you have an IUD is to prevent implantation. If you're going to take
So you're basically saying that if a woman has an IUD intending for it to prevent implantation, even if they acknowledge that sometimes it won't do that and it'll kill the zygote, if it does kill the zygote, they're not a murderer because that's not what the intended purpose of them having that IUD was for?
Well, no. I mean, yes.
Yes, that is your argument, or that's not your argument? Let's be clear.
It is not my argument.
So then
in
what's
the
your
sense that
argument?
the IUD's intended purpose is to prevent implantation. If the egg is fertilized,
Great. So it's not about the woman. It's about what the intended purpose of the IUD was.
Well, if you're going to define, if we're talking about an IUD being a murderer, correct? That's what you brought up?
So once again, my argument is simple. IUDs can kill zygotes. People know IUDs can kill zygotes. Yeah, just like a gun can kill a person.
Correct. But it's the person who uses the gun. Guns don't kill people. People do.
Well, we could debate that too. Guns definitely kill people, but I want to make it incredibly clear here that my argument is simple. IUDs can kill zygotes. Right? Can? What's the issue?
You don't know if the egg's been fertilized or not, so it's not murder. You don't know if it's human life.
In the circumstances where specifically the IUD prevents it from being implanted, then in that circumstance, is it murder?
Wait, so basically they're saying that they didn't know that it killed a human, even if they figure out later that it did, and they know that it could, it's not murder. So if I take a gun...
That would be manslaughter, not murder.
Okay, so if I take a gun, and I point it at this wall behind me, on the other side of this wall, it's outside, and I pull the trigger, knowing that it's possible when I pull that trigger, it'll kill somebody on the other side, okay? And it does kill somebody on the other side, but I don't figure this out until later. I'm not a murderer because I didn't know when it happened.
I think we're disagreeing on the definition of murder. That would be manslaughter if you were to do that.
So I define
murder as the intentional killing and premeditated killing of something. If you hypothetically, in the IUD, if you hypothetically somehow knew that the egg had been fertilized and then you take a drug and then kill that baby, yes, that is murder because that is premeditated. But with the IUD, you do not know.
Okay, so I define murder as the simple unjustified termination of a human life.
Intentional and premeditated. That's how it is in every single statute.
So you're talking about what the law is, but I don't define murder based upon what the law says.
Okay, so we just agree on. So that's where
So
discrepancy
you think
is.
it
Is the definition
requires?
of
So you
murder.
think it requires intention and premeditation?
Yes, and
Okay.
so I guess that's
because I think in a colloquial or moral sense, right, it is very useful to define murder as the unjustified termination of a human life. Because if I were to drink 3 gallons of beer, get in my car with the intention of filling up at the gas station, but I take out a family of 5 on the way, I don't take much issue in saying that those people were a victim of murder. What about you?
That is manslaughter, but obviously you put yourself at risk by doing that. Obviously, I mean,
Okay,
it's not essentially murder.
Well, I mean,
in most statutes,
once again, we're
DUI
not talking.
death isn't punishable by life in prison.
We're definitely not talking about statutes. So, are you telling me that you define murder based upon what the law says?
It's the intentional and premeditated killing. You brought up the example, if you point a gun outside and somehow shoot randomly, that's not your intention to premeditatedly and intentionally kill someone.
All right. Well, I guess that we'll account for like the intention, and we'll account for it being premeditated, even though I don't think that a moral definition of murder would include intention or premeditation. How about this? If you're a woman in my chat that is sexually active with an IUD, go ahead and put a me down there real quick. All those me's. Okay. And now we're gonna take it one step further. If you're willing to help me out with my hypothetical thought experiment here, put another me of the next time you engage in intercourse, you're willing to intentionally seek the death of a potential zygote.
So abortion.
All those means via the IUD preventing its implantation. Do you think that all these women are future murderers?
That's not their intention, to kill.
So I actually just asked them if next time they'd engage in intercourse, if they would not only do so for something like pleasure, but also for the intentional killing of that zygote. So it is.
So if they want and have a premeditation to hypothetically.
So just if the next time they engage in intercourse, they're going to do it for an intention of pleasure, but also for an intention of killing that zygote with the ID by preventing its implantation. Are they future murderers?
If that's their intent, yes, that is murder.
Are they future murderers? All the women in the chat.
If you want to generalize that, then if that is their intention.
I feel like we've made it incredibly clear. That would be one of their intentions, yeah.
If that is their intention to kill a fertilized egg, then yes.
To kill the zygote with the use of the IUD.
If it's fertilized, if they know for sure that it's fertilized.
To kill the zygote with the IUD, can I get a clear answer? Are they future murderers or not?
Do they know that the zygote's been fertilized?
Oh my God, it's gonna kill the zygote. They're intending in it, so it will fertilize and kill the zygote.
Yes, then that is murder.
Okay, so those are all future murderers, right?
Essentially, yes, because that's their intent.
Okay, great. So if somebody posted on their Snapchat story that they're gonna shoot their school up tomorrow and be a future murderer, would you be okay with the FBI knocking their door down and putting them in handcuffs?
Yes, that is intent of a crime.
Okay, so would you be okay with the FBI knocking down all of these women's doors and putting them in handcuffs?
If abortion was hypothetically illegal, if death by IUD was hypothetically illegal, then yes, but it's not.
No, and you're in the best version of the world possible. All right, in your eudaimonic society, would you want the FBI to be knocking down their doors and putting them in cuffs right now?
Yes, if I was the head of the United.
You said yes.
If hypothetically,
if you were the if you were the dictator of America, what you said, Goad, would you order the FBI to knock down all of these women in the chat, or knock their door down and put them in handcuffs?
If abortion was illegal.
Not if abortion's illegal. You're the dictator. You get to do what you want. If you were the dictator right now, would you order the FBI to knock all these women's door downs and put them in cuffs and take them away?
I mean, since I believe abortion is murder, yes.
See, that is the absurdity with your position. That's fucking insane. You just said that if you were the dictator of this country, you would order an arbitrator of...
Dude, you think that's like funny that you want to put a bunch of women in prison?
Or order an arbitrator of force, such as the FBI or police, to knock down the door of every single woman in my chat that just put them in cuffs and haul them away. And by the way, it's not a joke. It's not trolling. He's saying that if he was the current dictator, if he had the power to do this to you guys, he would do this to you guys. That's the absurdity in your view. That's why we absolutely cannot trust this insane stance of if human and alive, therefore morally valuable, therefore murder to kill it. And thank you so much for allowing me to absolutely dissect and dunk on you by making you look like a very crazy, crazy man. That's something that not even Trump is willing to do. You're crazier than Trump.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, Dean.
That's not something that'll help me sleep at night. That's a fact.
Dude, you made an extreme red herring of a point and tried to make me look like a dictator and a fascist
what's a red
in America
herring?
and say that murderers should go to jail.
Wait, real quick. What's a red herring?
It's a point that it does not talk about the actual topic. We're talking about IUDs and going extremes hypothetical circumstances to say that I'm a dictator when arguing about abortion.
It's a deviation from the argument provided. So what I just gave you was not a deviation from the argument provided, as it is the logic that supported the argument provided that also supports the conclusion that if you were a dictator, you'd put them in cuffs and draw them away.
But
right?
you tried to parallel that with abortion.
It is a parallel because it's the same underpinning logic. The same logic in which you use to yield the conclusion that abortion is wrong is a logic which yields the conclusion that these women ought be drug out of their house in handcuffs.
Again, that does not apply to abortion because, frankly,
can you deny that? Wait, sir. Can you deny that the logic you gave to justify your conclusion that abortion is wrong is the same logic that justifies all of these women being dragged out of their houses in handcuffs?
If they knew the IUD...
We already went over this. They said, yes, they're going to intentionally engage in intercourse the next time.
Yes, because that is killing a human being. That is murder.
So we could agree that it's the same logic, right?
If they knew the IUD,
we already do. Stop saying if they knew this. Stop repeating yourself. Yes, they know. Yes, that's a thought of what I'm saying. Yes, they do. So you could agree it's the same logic underpinning the positions, right?
Yes.
So then it's not. So then why did you accuse me of a red herring?
Because essentially you're talking about IUDs, and we're a hypothetical scenario where an IUD, people would have to know that the IUD, the egg has been fertilized. That's a hypothetical scenario. You don't know that for sure when you have the IUD.
Wait, so you're saying that they have to know that it's happened, even if they intend for
it to be intentional and premeditated?
Wait.
Yes.
No, they don't have to know that it occurs when it occurs in order for it to be intentional and premeditated. If I take a gun and I shoot it out of my fucking wall right now, intending to kill somebody, intending for it to kill somebody on the other side, and I don't know that it inevitably kills somebody on the other side because there's a wall between me and what's ever on the road. I'm a murderer under your own definition, right?
Is that your intent to kill somebody?
Yes, it is.
Then yes, that's murder.
Even if I don't know that it did kill somebody?
If that's your intent when firing that bullet, then yes.
Great. You just proved my point for me. You don't have to have knowledge that it occurs. As long as it actually occurs, regardless of your knowledge, if you intended to do it, you're a murderer. Meaning that, yeah, these women in the chat wouldn't have to know that it's killing the zygote. They just have to have intended to, right? And as long as it did, they're murderers under your view. Thank you for conceding.
How in the world does this have to do anything with abortion? Because you're talking about a hypothetical scenario that an IUD people would know.
That's a great question. You said, how in the world does this have to do with your position arguing that abortion is immoral? Because the likelihood that your logic is accurate, true, sound, and valid can be determined on the basis of the conclusions that it yields and how fucking crazy they are and if you're willing to accept them or not. And it is just as likely, according to your logic, that abortion is murder as it is likely that all of these women in the chat ought to be drug out of their houses in handcuffs. And that's crazy, sir. I don't think we should be applying a logic in our arguments that justifies dragging innocent women out of their houses
you brought
in
the
handcuffs
example
and
up.
shoving them into the back of the vans. I brought the example up because I'm a smart man that knows what your logic entails.
You brought up a hypothetical scenario to try and act like there's a flaw in my argument.
That
when
is
it has
exactly
no
what I
parallel
did.
to
You
the
know
argument
what?
of abortion.
You already accepted that it paralleled because the logical underpinning is synonymous. And yes, hypotheticals can be useful to abstractly think that is what the Socratic method is, sir. Don't dispute me, dispute Socrates.
Okay, so in that case, what does this have to do with abortion and my point being invalid?
Yeah, it demonstrates that your position is invalid due to the absurdities yielded from the underlying logic.
That's an opinion.
That's an opinion. Do you hold the opinion? Do you hold the opinion that it's absurd to say that?
Correct, but I'm just saying that it's not a logical fallacy. It's
Great.
just where we disagree.
Great. Well, no, it's called a reductio ad absurdism, which is a way to discredit the validity of a view. And since you also agree that that view is absurd, you're basically saying that the logic in which underpinned it is also absurd. So you just self-admittedly described your position as an absurd position.
So what's your position on abortion then?
Great. Now that we've got around to that, I've done my legwork. I got you to concede that you hold to an absurd position. Now I want to give Parker time on the mic. Take it away. Tell him the position.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's past or present and future subjective experience. We don't just grant value to just cellular human organisms. We grant value once it's sentient with a past or present and future subjective experience.
Okay, so by that means that you're basically saying that humans with less consciousness have less moral worth.
No, we're just arguing that in order to be granted value, you have to meet the condition of past or present and future subjective experience.
Okay, so you're just going to kill, if it's not conscious, you're just going to kill it.
No, not necessarily. Just that like you don't have an obligation to like maintain its life. Like if it's just cellular life,
it's
like
human life.
Wait, you're just claiming that's because it meets your set of criteria, but we're obviously going to show you that just because it's cellular life doesn't mean that we say that it has the set of conditions that we would typically consider to be valuable. Like one thing that we brought up earlier that you said was murder that I'd like to address was the fact that you said that pulling the plug on an individual in your family that's brain dead is murder.
Correct. That person's still alive, is it?
Okay, so can I get a 3 in the chat for everyone in the chat who has been a part of a family that's had to make that type of choice where they decide to pull the plug on an individual in their family that's brain dead?
That's assisted suicide, is it not?
No, because they're brain dead, right?
That's not their choice, though.
Look at all those people. All those people specifically, you think they're murderers and should go to prison?
If they pull the plug on a brain dead person, I mean, yes, because that's assisted suicide.
I don't know what you mean, because it is the case that, like, again, at that point they are medically dead.
Yeah,
because
also,
it is the case that they don't have a subjective experience anymore.
I think like what Parker's really getting at here is like nothing's being harmed when you pull the plug on a brain dead patient. Like
it's
typically
it's a person with less consciousness, and you're saying they have less moral worth.
Well, they don't have any.
No, they don't have any.
Right, and they won't have any ever again.
They don't have any moral worth because they're less conscious.
Think about this. Could you tell us what harm is? Can you define harm?
I would assume to inflict emotional or physical pain on somebody.
What is physical pain?
I mean, obviously something that gives you discomfort and something that harms your body.
Okay, so we just agreed that discomfort and emotional distress is your definition of harm. You can only feel discomfort and emotional stress given any like a response to stimuli via subjective experiences. Okay, brain dead patients don't have that. Therefore, under your definition, you don't think brain dead patients can be harmed.
By killing them, yes, that's assisted suicide and it's wrong. They're still human. It doesn't matter if they have less consciousness, they still have the same moral worth. That doesn't determine moral worth.
Given your definition of harm, you don't think brain dead patients can be harmed since you define harm as emotional distress or physical distress, and which is recognized via discomfort. Okay, well, discomfort and distress are what? Subjective experiences, right?
People can die without pain.
Can you answer my question?
What was your question, sorry?
Discomfort and distress are subjective experiences?
In that sense, yes.
Okay, all right. Well, just given your definition of harm, because harm is defined as a set of subjective experiences, you can't harm somebody that doesn't have subjective experiences. And that's your definition.
Harm, not murder.
Right, so you would agree that we can't harm a brain dead patient?
Yeah, you can't harm them. You can't murder them either.
Okay, so, well, that's our point. Because you can't harm them, you therefore can't murder them. Because why would it
Correct.
be
Okay, if that's what you mean, sure.
All right, then you just don't consider it murder to kill a brain dead patient.
It is murder.
Okay.
It's murder to murder a brain dead patient, and that's assisted suicide. If they can't make that choice themselves, that is murder.
I just caught him in a circle. I got him to concede, then go back again in like picoseconds. Take it away, Parker.
You tried to find a logical flaw in my argument that was an actual logical flaw.
Yeah, I detailed it pretty quickly. The logical flaw.
You went toward harm in some form or shape. In reality, we're talking about murder to pull the plug. In reality, yes, in my opinion, that is assisted suicide.
So, like the logical flaw I was able to point out in your position is that you don't think that you can harm a brain dead patient, and you don't think that you can murder somebody if they can't be harmed.
You can't harm them; you can still murder them, though.
Okay, why is murder wrong?
Why is murder wrong?
Yes.
Dean, come on, dude. Really?
Yes, really.
Because it's the intentional taking of a human life, and that's not their decision.
Okay, and why is the intentional taking of a human life wrong, right? It's because it causes what? Harm.
It causes an end of a human life, not so much harm.
Okay, but so you're saying that murder is...
It does cause harm in sense of family members.
Do you think that murder is always harmful?
And I would say, well, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're getting stabbed by a bunch of times, yes, that's harmful and painful. But if you die to a gunshot, you're getting murdered.
Is murder always harmful?
I mean, if you want to say that, yes.
I'm asking you about your position. According to your position, is murder always harmful? Because I would say yes. What about you?
Harmful is to inflict emotional and physical pain, in my opinion. And if you're getting murdered, I would assume that would be emotional distress. Like, again, if you die in one single instant.
I just want a yes or no. Is murder always harmful?
Not always, no. Because if you die immediately and don't feel pain, I mean,
Well,
is it really?
I'd say that the harm that is being experienced there is a deprivation of future experiences predicated on current or past experiences. So there's still harm in a circumstance where you're killed quickly without pain.
Okay, in that case, sure.
So then we could agree that
murder is harmful.
So murder's always harmful, right?
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a 3-point argument to demonstrate that even you don't think that it's murder to kill a brain dead patient. First premise: murder's always harmful.
Sure.
Second premise: brain dead patients can't feel harm.
They can't feel harm, but you can kill them. Sure, yeah.
Great. So if murder's always harmful, and brain dead patients can't feel harm, the conclusion would be is that brain dead patients can't be murdered.
In that case, okay, you know what? Fine. I guess I'll go back. I guess in that case, since that person can't feel harm, murder isn't always harmful.
Dean, actually, I gotta say, I disagree with you here. Actually, like
Well,
if someone's in a coma and they get murdered, is that harmful?
Yeah, because like I'd say that the harm would be like arbitrated via like you're taking away their future experiences predicated on their past.
But the point is that they couldn't feel it themselves at that time.
Well, I don't think that the mere definition of harm would be an experience of feeling, right? Like you could also include other things within the definition of harm, such as
that's what I would
you
agree
are
with.
taking away their future experiences predicated on the existence of past or present, right? So basically, the views like flow, right? Like you're going to say like a coma patient has flow. They have a future like ours. However, that future like ours is only going to be morally valuable predicated on past or current subjective experiences. Like that's a view that we both run. We both
Wouldn't
run
they
flow.
argue that about like a brain dead individual because they don't meet that set of criteria? Well, he's not arguing that because
That's why it's not wrong to
life.
kill. That's why it's not wrong to kill a brain dead patient because they don't have a future like ours, even though they do have past or present experiences. So that's why like our view would arbitrate that it's not murder to kill a brain dead patient. But more so, like the purpose of my line of questioning with William is basically to demonstrate it's a sense where you just straight up you can't be harmed unless you have future experiences, past and current experiences, and if you can't be harmed, you don't really have a well-being. Okay, because like what is a well-being? That's something that can or can't be harmed or infringed upon. And given that you don't have a well-being, like why would we really consider it to be like valuable if somebody like killed you or wrong if somebody killed you? Like there's no reason to consider it wrong given that there wasn't an infringement upon a well-being or any harm committed. Like why are we saying that something's wrong if it's not harming anything? Why are we considering it something wrong if it's not infringing upon a well-being? Like there's just no material outcome of that action in which generates anything that we consider to be wrong, right? So then why are you calling the action wrong?
In that case, I see what you're going for is that if it's not harmful to the person, then it's not murder. I get your position there. However, why I disagree is the sense that, yes, that person may not be able to feel pain or maybe not any past subjective experience, whatever you said in that sense. However, you're still taking a human life.
Yeah, then it just goes back down to like the DNA, okay? Well, it's like I step on a bug, you don't care. I step on a zygote, you do care. Why?
Because it's a human.
Because in one circumstance, I'm ending the life of something with DNA like yours, right?
In the sense, yes, it's a human. I care about human life.
Right, and I just find that to be so incredibly trivial. Like if that bug's DNA was slightly augmented, just a little bit, and it possessed the same chromosomal structure as you and I, all of a sudden it would be murder. Like what if we had a type of serum that I could inject that bug with and give it human DNA? Would it all of a sudden be murder to stomp on that bug?
That's an extreme red herring.
It's not a red herring. It is a little bit of a far hypothetical.
If you could inject
we're definitely getting
with
into
human DNA.
like we're definitely getting into like the nuances of like just like the epitome of abortion debate. Like we're definitely getting pretty deep with it, but like still yet this is a valid line of questioning. It's just like super fucking deep. I'll give you that.
Sure. I mean, you said, I just want to retract your question if that's okay. You said if you inject a bug with human DNA, which is similar to mine.
And then you give it human DNA as a genome just like yours. Like, is it murder to kill the bug?
I mean, if
after this, I want to run a point.
Yeah, I'll shut the fuck up after this. I'm getting really deep with it. I understand. Like, this is
I'm
probably a better
say
conversation
no,
to
it's
have.
not a human being. Parker, whatever you want to go ahead, but I don't know if I would say no.
Okay, so the chat is actually arguing something. This is exactly what I was going to bring up. There's a case in Georgia specifically where it is the case that against the concerns of the family, right? They kept someone on life support even though they were brain dead because it is the case that there was an 8-week-old embryo specifically that they wanted to keep alive. Do you think that they should have kept the the brain dead individual on life support, right, against the will of the family?
So, if I'm tracking the case correctly, you said that a brain dead person was pregnant.
Brain dead individual is pregnant. Yeah.
That's an extreme case. So you said if the brain dead patient was pregnant, you want them. Is it? Sorry, if you want to explain that more.
If the family specifically wants to pull the plug, right? Should they be allowed to legally? You're saying no. You're saying that they should keep the brain dead individual specifically on life support so that they can go through that pregnancy until the point of birth, at least, right?
Well, I mean, I think we should save as much human life as we can.
So is that your view? You think that against the will of the family, you think they should have been forced to keep them on life support?
I mean, it's a very extreme case, but if I had to make a decision, hypothetically in this scenario, I would say we should keep as many people as live as we can.
So you're saying that you should keep them on life support against the will of the family.
If that's
you should keep
if that's
Adriana
what
Smith
saves
on
human
life
life,
support.
yes.
30 seconds. If your position is that we should strive to keep as many humans alive as possible, if there's a pregnant mother with twins and she's going to die if she goes through the pregnancy.
Now, this is something we might be able to agree on. I believe abortion is wrong in every single case except when the threat of the mother's life is in fact at risk.
Okay, well, you, like under your principle of wanting to save as many human lives as possible, like that would say you would save the two over the one, save the twins over.
You know what, Dean? I'm gonna give you that point, dude. Good, but I will say,
great. And then also
said twins, right?
Then also, I appreciate you just quickly giving me that point. You need to rectify that within your own view because there's more pressing matter at hand. This means that you don't think that rape victims should be able to get abortion.
Why in the world would you get to commit murder if you were raped?
Well, I don't think it's murder. It's because I think it's justified because I don't think that the woman has any obligation to provide for the resources of the fetus.
Okay, fair enough.
Can I give you a hypothetical?
Sure, if you want.
Right, for sure. Like imagine that somebody's going to break into your house every night for the next 9 months and steal half your food. This is going to severely decrease the quality of your own life, and there's around a 5 to 10% chance that it'll end up killing you by the end of the 9 months. All you got to do to prevent this person from stealing your food, decreasing the quality of your life, and possibly killing you is to lock your front door at night. Now, if you do lock your front door at night, they're going to die from starvation. Should that be illegal?
Well, that person, you do not have a duty of care to that person. That person's a criminal.
Okay, you have no duty of care to that individual, therefore it shouldn't be illegal to lock your front door at night, stop them from stealing your food, even if they did as a result. That's my argument for victims of rape. They have no duty of care to the fetus, so they have the right to evict the fetus from the uterus, stop providing the fetus their bodily resources, even if it kills the fetus as a result, just like in the hypothetical that you locking your front door at night killed the burglar as a result.
Well, it's that criminal's responsibility as an adult to feed themselves. It's not the responsibility of the fetus to just somehow not get killed.
Right. It's not your responsibility to feed that criminal. So why is it a great victim's responsibility to feed the fetus? That's the question I'm asking. Because I don't think there's any justification
because you're not directly
to imply
murdering
that a responsibility would exist.
You're not directly murdering that criminal by locking your door.
Okay, so it has to do with direct versus indirect. So the abortion pill is an indirect way of killing the fetus because it simply stops off the supply of the mother's bodily resources, but indirectly kills the fetus by starving it to death. So you do agree with the abortion pill for victims of rape?
No, I do not.
Okay, well, why not? It's indirect, just like locking your front door.
Locking your front door for a criminal that you have no duty of care to, that person has a direct obligation to feed themselves.
Okay, so why does the great victim have a duty of care to the fetus?
Because that human is alive and you can't murder them.
Okay, because a human is alive and you can't kill them. And if you stop caring for them, you'll kill them. Okay,
yes.
So then under your view, yes, if there's somebody taking half of your food at night, then you do have a duty of care because if you stop letting them take half your food, you're killing them.
No, because essentially that person is trying to commit a violent crime and the other person is just, not the other person, the mother who got raped essentially has a duty of care to birth that baby because essentially it is killing a human life if they directly take an abortion.
Right. Well, I mean, you said that they have the duty of care because if they stop the care, the fetus will die, right?
Correct.
Okay, well then you have a duty to keep your front door unlocked because if you lock it, the person will die.
No, because
that's the issue with your logic, sir.
Break into the house.
That's a direct contradiction, right, Parker?
No, it's not.
Yes. Yeah.
No,
okay.
it's not.
Okay, explain us how that's not a direct contradiction.
It's not a direct contradiction because you do not owe a duty of care to that person.
All right. So then a duty of care is rooted in something other than if you stop the care, they'll die. So then what is the duty of care of the great victim rooted in? Because last time you told me that duty of care was rooted in the fact that if they stop the care, the fetus will die. But now you're telling me that merely if you were to stop care for one, that they die, that does not justify duty of care. So what does justify duty of care for a victim of rape?
Well, essentially, in the hypothetical scenario that you enacted, you're saying that a criminal who already is committing a crime breaking into your house is trying to steal food.
We're
If
having
they
a
don't get
conversation
food,
about
they're going to die.
We're having a conversation about normative ethics, laws, crimes. It doesn't matter because we're talking about what ought be the case, what should be the case, and what should be the case is not dependent upon what the current law says. So go ahead, give me the reason why the victim of rape has a duty of care to provide for the fetus. Keep in mind that this reason is not the fact that if she were to stop providing the fetus would die, because you told me in that hypothetical scenario that if you lock your front door at night, stop letting them steal your food, they'll die, but still yet they don't have a duty of care. So why does a rape victim?
They do have a duty of care to birth that human being and not kill them.
Yeah, for sure. Why? What constitutes a duty to care?
Because that human is alive and that mother needs to keep that human alive.
Yeah, why? Why?
Because a human being and has moral worth.
Okay, yeah, well, so is a person that's stealing from the house in the hypothetical scenario. They're human being. They
They're
have
committing a crime and they could easily steal from anybody else. This is a very extreme hypothetical.
Actually, no, in this hypothetical scenario, if they stop stealing from you, they don't have anybody else to steal from. Imagine that you live at a cabin in the middle of the woods.
Sure.
Okay, you still think it shouldn't be illegal for you to lock your front door at night? Why?
You should lock your front door at night.
Great,
you should
great.
be able
There's
to
no
do
duty
that.
of care. But so do we see how there's absolutely no reason that you could give me to justify that there should be a duty of care for the
That's
rape
not
victim?
direct murdering. Just because I can't, just because I don't let someone steal from me, they're going to starve to death. We do not owe a duty of care. Correct.
Right.
That
So just
person
like if the mother
also-
doesn't let the fetus steal her bodily resources from her, they're going to starve to death. That's not a direct act of murder under your view.
That's not a direct. It is a direct act of murder to take a pill.
Oh, okay. So if it's a direct act of murder for the rape victim to stop giving resources to the fetus, then it's a direct act of murder for you to stop giving resources to the burglar.
No, because that person starving to death is not me giving them food. They could easily go anywhere else and get food.
No, like I said, you're in a cabin in the middle of the woods. They can't easily go anywhere else and get food. You're their only source of food.
They could literally eat anything else.
See, in order for you to keep an argument that's logically consistent, you have to change the confines of my hypothetical. So do not change the confines of the hypothetical. Sir, you live in a cabin in the middle of the woods. The only place where this burglar could get food is from your pantry. Should it be illegal for you to lock that front door at night? Keep them out of your house, even if they starve to death as a direct result.
It should not be illegal for you to lock your door.
Great, even if they can't get those resources from anywhere else. So even though a fetus cannot get the resources they need to live from anywhere else but the victim of rape, that victim of rape still yet has no duty of care, just like the homeowner in the hypothetical scenario I gave you, sir.
The first scenario is involving burglary. The second scenario is involving murder.
Well, both scenarios involve an individual stop the providence of bodily
That's an
resources or
extreme
resources as a whole
stretch.
to another individual, right, and which would result in their death. So if it's going to be murder in one scenario, thereby be murder in another scenario, the issue that you're facing is a complete lack of an ability to justify a duty of care for the victim of rape, but not for the homeowner in the scenario of a burglar stealing half their food at night. And by the way, that last statement of saying in one scenario it's locking a door, in the other scenario it's murder, that was a complete red herring and straw man. The reason in which I say that is because I'm arguing that neither of the individuals in both scenarios have a duty of care to the individuals in which is taking resources from them, and you cannot contest that. All you can do in respond is to give me a one-line red herring. So let's try again. Let's slow down a little bit. Why does that victim of rape have a duty of care? You might say because if they stop caring, the fetus will die. That's not the reason for duty of care, because in the hypothetical scenario, if they stop caring and lock their front door, they'll die. So that doesn't constitute the duty of care. So what does?
The fetus didn't do anything wrong. The burglar did.
Oh, didn't do anything wrong. So do you mean like with intention? Like the fetus didn't intend to take the bodily resources away from the woman, but the burglar did intend to take the resources away from you as a homeowner?
I mean, yes, the burglar is committing a criminal act. The fetus did nothing wrong. Why should we murder it?
Great. So if it's not wrong to take bodily resources away from a woman without consent, why would it be wrong to take your resources away from you without consent?
Take my resources away with my. So you're saying that you're trying to portray me as the homeowner in the cabin. That burglar is committing a crime. The fetus didn't.
Okay, so it's all about what is legal or illegal. So if it was legal to steal from you, you would be doing something morally wrong and you would be committing murder if you were to lock your front door?
So you're saying it would be evil if I locked my front door for that burglar.
Well, I mean, under your view, you're basically saying that the only reason it's evil to kill the fetus, but not evil to lock your front door at night and kill the burglar, is because in one situation it's legal, in the other situation it's illegal, right? So if it was legal to steal food from you at night, you would be doing something evil if you were to lock your front door at night?
but I don't think it's murder is the intentional killing of a human. When I'm locking my door, hypothetically, I am not trying to intentionally kill that burglar.
Even
I
if
am
you know that they'll
intentionally
die as a
killing the
result.
fetus.
Even if you know that they'll die as a result. Therefore, it's really simple for me to say that when a victim of rape gets an abortion, or fuck any woman for that matter, as long as they take the abortion pill that merely locks that front door, stops supplying the bodily resources to the fetus, they're not intentionally killing the fetus. They're merely just stopping the supply of bodily resources, just like you'd be stopping the supply of all resources by locking your front door at night. Your own logic just justified the abortion pill for every woman on earth.
However, in the sense that we don't know it can directly kill the burglar, we know when we take the abortion pill that it'll directly kill the fetus.
Don't worry. I thought I made this implication like ages ago. Yeah, you know if you lock your front door, they'll die as a result. That's the first thing I said.
Okay. I mean, that's a pretty extreme scenario. So you're saying it's okay to let people steal from you?
Well, actually, that's seemingly like what you're saying. Your logic would imply that
No,
if
it's not.
victims of rape have an obligation to provide for the resources that the fetus requires to maintain
Bro is
life,
not tracking.
therefore, if somebody's stealing from your house to get food, and that's the only place in which where they could get food from, your argument would imply that you have the obligation to provide for their resources to live.
No, you don't.
Okay, so then neither does a great victim. Back to square one.
Yes, they do, because they have a fetus in their womb.
So it's about the location?
I mean, whatever, yes, because it's in their body, and they have a direct
if the
obligation
fetus,
to birth them into this world.
So if the great victims, if that fetus was still connected to the victim of rape just externally by an umbilical cord, then the victim of rape would be well within her means to stop supplying it resources and kill it, right?
It has to be birthed and then disconnected from the umbilical cord.
But no, I mean, assuming that the fetus
for it to be birthed.
Assuming that the fetus just grew outside of the woman's body, but yet still connected to the woman to provide to supply it resources, you're basically saying that great victim could stop supplying the fetus resources, killing the fetus, and that's no longer morally wrong since it's no longer in her body.
Is it disconnected from the woman's body?
Well, disconnecting it kills it.
From the umbilical cord outside of the woman's womb? What are you trying to get at?
I'm trying to say that you just argued that the only reason why a victim of rape shouldn't legally be allowed to access abortion is because a fetus is literally inside her uterus. Make that
No,
make
because
sense.
because it's a human life. I want them to birth it.
People want you to replace the hypothetical.
Yeah, man, you could take it away from here. I mean, he's just
with
going
a
back
child.
He's just going back. He's just going back in the circle now. Like now, this guy's saying, if it's a human life, that's why the victim of rape has to sustain its life. Even though I've clarified 15 times that the person stealing from your house in the middle of the night is also human life, and you don't care, demonstrating that this is not the reason in which it makes it relevantly morally wrong for the great victim, but not in the hypothetical scenario I gave you. I mean, we've gone in loops. I mean, if you have anything new to demonstrate that the great victim would have a duty to care, but not the individual breaking in, feel free to provide it. But I'll pass the mic off to you, Parker. Keep in mind, I do have to leave here in around 7 minutes.
Yeah, so if you were to replace like the burglar breaking in specifically with a child, right? Would you answer differently?
I mean, again, a very extreme hypothetical scenario. So you're saying if it was a child instead of an adult?
Mm-hmm.
So how does that? I mean, it's not your child. It's not your duty of care, though.
Okay, so specifically, so it's not your duty of care. So regardless of whether or not it's a child, right? In that scenario, you're still saying that you don't have the obligation to provide that, correct?
Yes, because the mother has an obligation.
Okay.
I get when the rape victim.
Okay, so think about it this way: when a fetus is inside your body, it is a harsher obligation for the person who has to maintain that, comparative to just allowing someone to take food out of your pantry, like one person.
And then also, I think they said there that the great victim has that duty of care because it's their biological kid.
It is that, I mean, yes, obviously rape is terrible. And obviously when we punish that rapist in court and we give them 50 years in prison, whatever, that should happen. But should we also commit murder on that fetus? Two wrongs don't make a right.
Apparently it's murder because it's their biological kid. So, wow. Hey, if there's a woman that gets an IVF baby, it's not her biological kid. Apparently abortion's justified because it's not her biological kid, right?
Yep, that's literally his view.
Yeah.
It's a human life.
So then it has nothing to do with the biological relation. So why does it have to do with the biological relation in the hypothetical that Parker gave you?
It's biologically still her kid, though.
Oh, okay. Well, again, if it was the case that we brought up an IVF example where it's specifically not her kid, right? Would it be the case that abortion is justified?
IVF, again, IVF, I'm not as educated, I'm going to be honest.
No, I'm just saying the IVF, they didn't use the DNA of the person who is pregnant, right? In order for that kid to be produced, the kid is inside of the person who is pregnant, right? And it's not of their DNA. So specifically,
it's still 50% of her DNA. If the
no,
egg
it's
is
not.
inside
No,
the
it's
woman.
not, because it's IVF.
So
they used a different egg. They used a different egg.
If you want to educate me on what an IVF is,
they used a different egg.
It's another
from a
woman's
different
egg.
person.
It's
another woman's egg, and it's implanted inside that other woman.
It's not her DNA. It's not her biological kid. Apparently, abortion's justified.
Well, in that case, still, that is a very extreme stance. I haven't looked into that. I have no comment on that.
No, but in that specific example, because it is the case that it's not her DNA, so it clearly is the case that it's justified for her to,
still a human life, though, right?
Commit an abortion, correct? Oh, so it's about the human life. It's not about the relation.
I mean, I don't know where you got.
So if it's about the human life and not about the relation, then why would you not have a duty of care for a child stealing food from your house in the middle of the night?
Because that person is trying to commit a crime.
They're trying. So it's about the intent. So so it's all about the intent, right?
Yeah, I don't owe them a duty of care, but I mean,
okay, so why don't
if that,
you owe
but
them
if that child, if the only way that child can be birthed,
why don't you owe them a duty of care? I just want to be clear.
The child breaking in or the fetus?
The child breaking in.
The child breaking in because it's not your kid.
Okay, well then neither is the fetus.
But again, you're not intending to murder them by not giving them food. That's not your intent.
Exactly. So if you take the abortion pill, you're not intending for the fetus to die. It just
yes,
dies
you
as a
are.
result. Well, no, you just wanted to cut your resources off.
You genuinely, if you take an abortion pill and you have a kid in you and you know that it's going to kill them.
Yeah, if you shut the door and you don't let the kid in, the kid is going to die.
Bro, okay,
that's not
listen,
your intent.
At this point, just admit that you got fucking mopped and move on. Like, you're so incredibly dense. When we are making like the best arguments known to mankind, and you just look like shit. Like, just admit that you got mopped. Say, guys, I lost the debate. I need to reconsider my views, move on, and become a better person. Because like, how many times have we gone?
That's what helps you sleep at night, Dean.
William, I want you to give me a really real response. How many times have we gone in the circle of there existing a duty of care because it's a human, and there existing a duty of care because it's their biological child, and then you saying it's because it's their biological child, then us giving the IVF example, and then you shifting to saying because it's a human? How many times have we gone in that circle?
Human being.
How many times have we gone in that circle?
I don't know. I don't have a counter.
Probably over 10, right?
Whatever if that's the number you got.
Right. See how you like continually like perpetuate the circle of you losing and then pivoting like a billion times, even though
it's a human being,
you're going to prove it to. Well, exactly. Now the circle continues. It's a human being. So is the kid that's stealing half of your food at night. You don't think you have a duty of care to them. End of story. That's a contradiction. Do the circle again. Go back to saying that it's not your biological child. Do it. I dare you.
How does that have? I want to just go in this break out of this circle. How does that relate to your view on abortion?
So this relates to your view that you don't think that victims of rape should be able to access abortion.
Yeah, because it's still a human being.
Right, just like the child that's stealing half the food from your house in the middle of the night. Boom. See, circle completed for the 20th time. And you don't owe them a duty of care because why? Let me guess. They're not your biological kid.
You brought up the IVF.
Wait. Let me guess. I'll fill in your words. It's because you don't owe them a duty of care because they're not your biological kid, right, William?
Are we talking about IVFs?
The person that's stealing half of your food in the middle of the night.
Correct.
Great. And then this is where I'm like, oh, well, what about a woman with an IVF baby implanted inside of her? That is not her biological kid either, according to the logic in which you just demonstrated us in the position of a child stealing half the food in the middle of the night. That's not their biological kid. Thereby, they wouldn't have a duty of care to provide to that IVF baby. Thereby, an abortion would be justified. And then you're going to say incorrect because it's still a human life, right?
If that, I haven't done a lot of research on IVF. If you guys, I'm going to say that no, it wouldn't be that.
So it'd still be wrong for a woman with an IVF baby to get an abortion?
Well, no, because it's not. You don't have a duty of care.
Really? So it's not wrong for a woman with an IVF baby to get an abortion. So thereby, it's not about the human life.
So because it's not her DNA, correct?
Wait. So to clarify, you could IVF and then abortion infinite times, and you wouldn't think that's wrong.
Oh, I muted him instead of myself.
Yeah, William. Just a real question. You could IVF and abortion infinite times, and that's not wrong, correct?
Again, I haven't done research on IVFs to have a stance on that.
What? Yeah, I'm just asking you if abortion is wrong in this circumstance, and it seems like you don't have an answer. Wow, what a pro-life advocate.
Dude, we finally...
I genuinely don't.
We won. Okay, so you're agnostic on if women that consent and contractually agreed to being implanted with an IVF baby should be able to get an abortion. But when it's about a fucking 10-year-old victim of rape, all of a sudden it's the worst
Like, what
thing.
the fuck?
It's an IV. You're saying that person agreed to take on that fertilized egg?
Yeah, what do you think we're referencing? Jesus Christ, dude.
Come on, bro.
Again, I'm trying to develop my point on the spot because
I'm sorry.
I haven't really looked
If you
into
didn't
IVFs.
understand what we were
In that
referencing,
sense, if
but
that
hold up,
person
if you
agreed
didn't
to take
understand
on
what
that baby, then yes, it is an act of murder.
Okay, now he's changed his view because he didn't understand. If you didn't understand, you could have just told us.
I mean, don't worry.
Well, I said I haven't done research on IVFs.
Don't worry. The way to get out of about that agreement, because there's a contractual obligation that's present, is by just simply imagining that they were implanted with the wrong IVF baby. Like, imagine that they agreed to take on an IVF baby that was female. The doctor implants them with the wrong IVF baby that's a male. There's no contractual agreement that exists. They did not agree to take on that IVF baby. Under your review, it can't be murder.
In that sense, I didn't do a lot of research on IVFs, but if that person agreed to take on that baby, regardless of their DNA, then yeah, it'd be murder because they essentially agreed to have that implanted.
Yeah, so what about if they're implanted with the wrong IVF baby? They didn't agree to take on the wrong IVF baby, did they?
I mean, again, so you're saying that they implanted a wrong IVF, so they essentially did it against the woman's will?
Yeah, doctor made a mistake.
Again, I really don't understand what you're trying to reference here. It's,
Yeah,
it's,
it's
an accidental IVF.
Yeah, doctor made a mistake. No, she signed up for IVF. She went in it's IVF.
Jesus
She went into a contractual agreement to untake an IVF baby that was a female. Doctor made a mistake, accidentally implanted her with a male. Does she have an obligation to sustain pregnancy?
If that's a human life.
Great, circle completed. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to complete the circle with you one more time before I kicked you.
Valid, sure.
Fucking hell. Okay.
Jesus, Dean, today was a bit wild.
Yeah, it was. I gotta say, the one positive thing I could say about William is that he's definitely in the right career path. Yeah, that insufferable motherfucker would be quite the lawyer. Let me tell you. You know, just unrelentingness. He is always right. Holy shit. Yeah. You found your calling. You found your calling. Now, he wouldn't be a good lawyer. I'd like to clarify that. Definitely would be a terrible lawyer, but to be a lawyer is his calling nonetheless. Now, Parker, I'm going to go to an end, and I don't know what I'm going to do the rest of my day. I'm going to go lay down and cry because the last 5 hours of my life...
I'm sorry, bro.
I'm just kidding. But the last 5 hours of my life have been exhausting. I mean, I think my girlfriend's at work. Like, this is one of those days where the last 5 hours of my life has been so exhausting. I think I'm going to go to Sam's Club and get a steak. You know, I'm going to go get a nice steak, and I'm going to cook it, and I'm going to watch TV. That's what I'm going to do. That sounds like a nice time to me.
Yeah, let me know how that goes, bro. Let me know how that goes.
All right, where are you going live?
I'm going to go live on my main account and see how it goes. And then if it lags, I'll go to my girlfriend's account.
All right, bye-bye. I'll raid you.
All right, and then I'm also on my YouTube, everyone. Parker, get a job like always. Appreciate you, Dean, as always, man.
Yeah, have a good
Appreciate
one,
you.
Parker. Have a good one, man.
All right, peace, bro.
Appreciate you for coming up today. For the people saying Sam's Club sucks, I agree with you. It just happens to be like the only place in my town to get a particular steak. So, yeah. Now, everybody, before we do, and I'm going to go and thank a handful of people. I'd really like to thank, let's see here. Mackenzie, thank you for the $10 over at Venmo. Thank you so much. As well as Summer, thank you so much for the $25 and keep roasting these goobers. That last goober got roasted. Thank you for the $25. As well as Ben, thank you so much for the $20. And Jennifer with the $25. And Parker with the $20. And then David and Presley both with the $10. I appreciate you guys. If you're still in here, just know that I really do love and appreciate you guys. I would also like to thank Madison with the 30 cents, Eli with the $2. Taylor with a 5. Thank you guys all so much for the love. Let's see here. We also got Kelsia with a $15. Thank you so much. It's incredibly kind of you. Aaron with a $15. Michael with a 5. Thank you guys so much for the love. Okay, everybody. I'm going to go to an end now. If you're watching on YouTube, head over to @ParkerGetAJob. If you're watching on TikTok, head over to @ParkerGetAJob. I'm putting it on the front right now, dude. I'm so fucking tired. I'm going to go and hop off for the evening. I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. Good raid, Parker, and have a good rest of your evening. Bye-bye.